Feel Free to Feel Free podcast, and we just talked about a place where you don't feel free, which is airports. And a man who is known to fly in a lot of airports is Ron O'Farrell.
Yes.
Fellow Army Ranger, 2nd Ranger Battalion, best bat. And now what's your title at Tourrific Curacao?
Man, I'm Ron.
You're Ron?
I'm Ron at Tourrific Curacao.
I think it's it's HMFIC.
Yeah. One of the, just one of the managing operators for Tourrific VIP. Absolutely. Along with Gad Milregal, that's correct.
God, even his name sounds sexy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He's a good man. Yeah. A good dude. Very multi-talented on the stage, presence, and all that stuff. We can get into that. It's pretty interesting, that whole dynamic.
Well, we're going to talk more about Curacao here in a bit, but we're going to intro Andy, the Wookiee. Flies the fastest hunk of junk.
Oh, Ron's going to clap for me?
Yeah.
Do we get an applause?
Yeah.
That's fucking weird.
Absolutely.
Nobody does that.
Absolutely. Well, they should.
They should. I agree.
They should.
I agree. And he's tall, too, so you got to clap up while you're looking up. I mean,
I'm used to that, though.
Yeah.
I do that.
Why did I get the short chair?
Because it puts you on level with the rest of us.
But we're all on our own cameras.
You're really just kind of calling me out here, but that's cool. Even while we're sitting.
It makes us all feel
He's
better.
in a tall chair.
Yeah.
His chair won't go any lower.
Why couldn't I get the big chair?
You can stand up in that chair.
I mean,
you had time before coming in here to get us all sorted out. You feeling okay? We're on level right now.
Thank you for the intro. Not sorry I made it weird in the first 90 seconds.
I think that's what's going to drive people in, is just how weird we can get, how fast.
Right? Well, there's that saying, right? It's about feeling awkward. Like, I don't get awkward. I make other people feel awkward. So there's that too.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And I love it when you and I come together, because we definitely make people feel awkward right quick.
Yeah. We will out chicken anyone.
Yeah.
Oh, we're back to chicken.
Back to chicken.
Back to chicken.
So Feel Free to Feel Free podcast. And Ron is actually one of the most feeling free people I've ever met. A mentor in my life, also a good friend, astral traveler and everything else. But now he's moved on from being a badass Army Ranger to kicking ass in the home market, helping fellow veterans get into homes, and the philanthropic market, helping Army Rangers, and I don't know how many charities you work with. Yeah. And then now he has since moved on to a foreign nation.
Correct.
Which is just an interesting story, just all the ins and outs of it. And people wonder, how do you move to a foreign country? Well, Ron's about to tell you. and then he actually started a business, and you guys are in the top 10 trips in TripAdvisor?
Yeah, top 10%. Won the Magellan Award 2 years in a row.
Right on. So for you guys who aren't familiar with Curacao, it is a small island, is a former Dutch colony off about 90 miles north of the coast of Venezuela in the southern Caribbean. It was the home of the slave rebellion, and basically how the equality movement started in the Western Hemisphere. And it's a really great place, logged with tons of history, great drinks, fine food, and now they're going to have the Blackskin Grill.
That's right.
Fairly shortly. Yeah.
Yes, shortly.
So how did you come to find about Curacao?
Yeah, so I was doing Commando Krav Maga, right? Instructor in that, and I wanted to take it to another level, take another boot camp class. And I found out about it in about 7 years ago here in Seattle at doing a boot camp. And when the instructor says, "Yeah, I'm going to go and train the next group in Curacao," and I said what everyone else says is, "What the hell's Curacao? Where's that? What do you mean?" "Oh, it's a Dutch Antilles. It's beautiful, clear waters." Da da da. Like, okay, well, and I've always wanted to go to a place like that, right? So the water, I've never been to Hawaii or anything like that. And so years later, I joined Veterans Landing Group. Things went well, got successful, and I was able to say, okay, I can actually afford to go out there. So at the time, it was about that was about 3 months after Matt Wilson passed away from suicide, right? And so I was already just kind of going through it, and I was like, I just need a break. And it so happened that the boot camp was the first week of December. So I just said, well, I'm just going to burn all my leave and go down there about 10 days. Furloughed it for 5, just explore. I'd never even been to another country by myself to boot, right? So I get there and I said, just leaned in like we do, right?
Did you have a passport before this trip?
No.
So this is your first passport, first country.
Not only was it my first passport, there's a story on that too, is I was very impatient in those years and didn't like to wait, right? And my motto in those years was ain't no minute like the last minute, because it only takes a minute. Right?
This is Ron O'Farrell in a nutshell. If for those of you guys who are surrounded by the life of Ron O'Farrell, it's now just all coming together after knowing you for the better part of a decade. Yes, okay.
Right.
So when you tell me it only takes a minute if you wait till the last minute, it's because of this guy?
No, that one I learned in college, but I have never heard it said it with a little bit of soul. Ain't no minute like the last minute. And that's Ron.
Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah, it only takes a minute, right? So packing or whatever. I've since moved on from that guy, but we'll get into that too. But yeah, so getting the passport, right? So I found out that you can get a rush passport. So I didn't do the traditional mail it, wait. I booked a ticket and said I'm going on an emergency. I'm leaving next week, and I got the passport in 48 hours. 48 hours from there, I was on the plane overnight to Miami, straight into Curacao. 2.5 hours later, checked into the Renaissance. Like the very corner room was like 100, like the last room that they had. $150 a night or something like that, I think I remember. And I was like, okay, well now that I'm flying in, I'm like, whoa, this is amazing. I'm flying in, and I'm staying in this 600-year-old fort, right? Infinity pool, and like, well, I want to get in a jet ski. Booked one, literally 3 hours after landing, I'm on a jet ski, right? Just tearing through, just feeling free and like screaming, hooting, hollering. Well, the next day I planned an ATV tour, and it was 6 hours on the island. And this is where that breakthrough happened, right, for me. Is I'm like, okay, that was cool. Got early morning, out there in the ATVs, and again, just feeling that freedom, right? I guess, kind of like someone on a bike, any kind of bike, or that feeling of like a little bird going in.
Wind in your face.
Just just freedom, right? And we're out through the countryside, tearing it up, and we came to this cliff. I think it was in Sainte Marie, and it was one of the most beautiful things I'd ever seen. And I'm standing there looking at it, and at that moment, I had felt a calm. I felt a peace. All the chaos was of just men and women that had helped, that couldn't, all that stuff gone. Like it was a moment of silence, and it forced you to be present right at that moment and just be. And I got emotional on it, right? Because I'm like, I've never felt this before. So the guide comes up, his name is Flo, and I said, man, can I bring other people here, like groups of veterans and people to feel this? He's like, yeah, man, bro, I got you. Because by this time he knew I was a veteran and stuff. He's like, come on, let's go. Just, clean up. Because we had another couple with us. He's like,
you're over there
man up.
up.
Yeah,
cutting onions.
Cutting onions and stuff. And then he's a good guy. He's at the same time, he's like, and he talks like real raspy. He's like, and I know how you veterans are, so let's just come just a couple steps back. That's beautiful, I know, but let's keep going.
Step away from the edge, bro. Like,
this is it. This is my pinnacle moment. I'm going out on a high note. Yeah.
Exactly.
no, you can't fly. You don't have wings.
Not on my watch, right? That's Flo was that. So, we finished the tour, and he's like, "Hey, I got the right person for you. I'll get you squared away." So yeah, I just continued to enjoy the island, food, and all that stuff, and getting ready for the boot camp that would come up.
So let's pause there for a second. So you're going down to a Krav Maga boot camp.
Yeah.
And did you know what Krav Maga is?
No.
So basically, there's all the forms of martial arts, karate, Bushinkai, Taekwondo, everything else. Krav Maga is an Israeli form,
Correct,
of fighting art, and it just needs to be called like, I'm gonna fuck your shit up. And it is not meant to be meditative, none of this artistic stuff. It is meant to hurt another human being. So he's flying down
So this is like the rapid aggressive dick biting version of martial arts.
Yes, very much so, yes.
Like what was that, Action Figure Hero
Action
or whatever?
Figure Therapy,
the
yes.
Honey Badger shit and all that. The Honey Badger skit and the rapid aggressive dick biting.
Ron is
and
the
like,
Honey Badger. Yes, he is Stanley the Honey Badger. Yeah.
It's it's and this one it's founded by Moni Isaac, who was like the guy, right? He and was in the trained the Israeli military and SF and stuff. And one of the other instructors that's there, Guillaume, now he's a French SF as well. So it's like it's stuff to stop whatever threat it is. There's no glamour. There's no arm bars and let's get someone to the ground. In fact, it's opposite of that. If you're on the ground more than 5 seconds, they start beating you with these big ass noodles to get up, and it's really intense. But it's structured in a way that it's brilliant. Really, Moni has a master's in psychology, right? So conditioning someone to where they're the best position physically and open to respond and actually put forth the effort of the movements in the training, right? So it's a system. This one is it's a systems based course. It's a lot. So it's knife attacks, pistol attacks, close quarter stuff, right? And while I would carry daily here in the States, I felt more comfortable depending on the distance with my hands than I would, just far as the timing and stuff. And it promotes that confidence. It's not something that's like, hey, I'm a badass. It gives you a fighting chance, right, of survival. And so if I figured if I'm going to get my ass kicked, it might as well be in paradise. And you definitely get your ass kicked. You've seen pictures of, I'll give you some footage, but bruises and, stuff like that. And it's legit like 100%. I mean, you start with what they call CKM Tai Chi, right? Just let's just look at the movement, get comfortable with the technique.
Smooth is fast. Yeah.
And then, it's usually taught with 2 to 3 techniques, right? For whatever movement, whatever thing that you're defending. And then it gets faster and faster, and then, starts picking up the pace. Well, at the end of each exercise or, training movement, it's a round robin, right? You get all of your classmates, and you start with, all right, we're going to go for this. This person, you can punch them, you can stab them, you can do this. And 3 minutes go. Boom, boom, boom.
3 minutes?
Right.
That's a long time.
That's a long time.
Oh, it gets better.
Yeah.
So, and this is 10-hour days, right? So you're there at 5. If you're late, every second you're late, it's like, or every minute you're late, it's like 20 burpees or something. It's no joke, right? So to graduate though, and anyway, it gets fat more and more. So then they add more techniques. Well, if you're going to add more techniques, you got to add more time. So then it goes to 5 minutes, round robin, and you're doing this every day. So when you graduate, you have to go 7 solid minutes nonstop of all of these different attacks. Right? I mean, you're absolutely smoked. But the purpose of that is to your mind and your body is going to naturally go to what's most comfortable for you to defend on those movements. So now it shows
you're tired.
I've got my shit.
You don't rise to the occasion, you fall to the level of your training.
That's it, right? So it's all about that, and it instills confidence in yourself, and like we would say, like, trust your equipment, right? Most of the time, right? But and it just having that set of tools, it's invaluable, and so I wanted to, so that's what it went out there for, and it was. From there, just what drew me back to the island was really the people, the culture, the feeling there. You see so many different mixed races. It's a melting pot. You don't have this. It's like they've already been through that shit. Like, it's like, this was this big slaver island. Everyone knows that, but let's get on with life now. Let's, what can we do? Yeah, it still has its problems and troubles and just like any other country, but for the most part, the feeling on that island is one of calm. Like, I talk to the locals, which from all spectrums of life, what do you do when you're stressed? It's like, well, it's hard to be constantly stressed. We go to the beach. It's part of their culture. And And that's one of the things that I wanted to be able to share, because if you look up Curacao, you see, some beaches and stuff, but not a lot to do, right? And so, and for veterans, that was the first segment, I guess, of our audience that we're, pushing for Tourrific VIP, is a sense of safety, right? Somewhere where you're going to be safe, someone that can answer all those questions and stuff like that. And obviously that's trailblazer here, right? Going and figuring all that stuff out and learning. And so 4 years later,
it takes time.
It takes time. Yeah. And it's patience, and time. But, over that time, it's building relationships. It's getting better. It's going through, storming the norming and conforming and all those things, and which are important to really any relationship, friendship, whether that be intimate or, brotherhood. It's like, if you can't be forthright with each other and be able to accept that, like, okay, I understand, let me do better, right? And I think at this age, for the most part, those friends have been sifted,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I mean, new people come into your life,
Sure.
but definitely, like, who has come and gone, the ones that are left are going to be real.
Right. And the ones that do come along, it's an attraction of usually like minds and people, or you get figured out real quick. Like,
An
I'm not
attraction
feeling
of
that.
like your network kind of becomes your filter,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
all those layers just are constantly filtering out bullshit.
Exactly.
Like the longer that you move on.
Exactly. Which is able to boil it down to where I saw this meme, that's where I get most of my news, by the way, on memes, and then I look up the truth, right?
Yeah, who doesn't? Yeah. Somebody took so much time to develop this meme. There's got to be some sort of media behind it. Let me dig in.
They're generally more creative than the actual news, so
Right.
there's that.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah. But it said something like, if you have to ask more than 3 people of a situation you're in, then you're looking for attention or something like that, right? And I thought about that, and I'm like, shit, man, is there truth to that? This is one of the things you give something weight, and I'm like, fuck that. I really wanted to know if this is a dumb idea or not, so I told all my friends, and frequently, and I'm waiting for, no, that's a dumb idea. But eventually, it came to, I wasn't trying to convince everyone. I was trying to convince myself to take that jump and that leap into moving to another country.
And you did that amidst a pandemic.
Yeah. Yeah.
What
Sure
could possibly go wrong?
did.
So
Yeah.
my small input on this is, like, I've been watching Ron do this for years now, and finally it came down to the night to leave.
Remember that?
Yeah, and was it New Year's?
Yeah.
New Year's Eve.
It sure was.
Yeah, and typical Ron, there ain't no minute like the last minute. So I show up at his house. I got to get him to the airport. I can't remember what time. It was like a late night flight.
11,
yeah. And so I show up at your house like 7,
Yeah.
6, 7.
Yeah.
You hang out, have dinner, do whatever. And I show up, and he's still not even started to get packed. Not a bit, right? So it's just going. I'm like packing all of his stuff. Like, I'm literally folding his laundry and putting it in his bag, making sure he's got enough underwear and socks. I feel like a dad, like sending my kid off on an
I'm
adventure.
like, dude, I just need a couple pairs of shorts. But
Yeah.
So this is the guy that gives you anxiety, and you're just driving the car,
Yeah.
right? Like, yeah, I get it.
And so, like, we get them all packed, and like now we're hustling to get to SeaTac Airport. And on the way there, like, we're both like really quiet, and I'm quiet just because I want him to be able to enjoy the moment, playing good beats on the radio. And like, lo and behold, Curacao had a restriction of some sort that was supposed to open up on January 1st.
Yes, correct.
So no, because it was December 30th, and you landed on New Year's.
I landed
Eve.
there on the 31st at 3 p.m.
3 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
And
so you had 9 hours.
Yeah, that the rule was because they had either you could stay there for 2 weeks, quarantine, and all that nonsense. And finally, they opened it up, but everything was in flux, right? And it's a small island, right? So the trickle down effect takes a while. It's not like, hey everyone, this is the new rules. It's like, yeah, but it's Friday.
We'll get to that.
And if you know Curacao, it's like, and on Friday, that's everyone's like going. It's happy hour, bro. What are you talking about? It's the end of the week, right? Bon Simon, like have a great week. This is we're ending it, and so and I landed on like a I don't know whatever it was a holiday, right? So, but the rules had changed that as of January 1st, all you needed was a cleared COVID test to get in. That's where it first started, right? So I land there.
Did you have the results when you took off? I can't remember if you did or not.
I did. I had the results.
Okay.
Yeah, but when I'm applying for it, the system just wouldn't register for some reason. I kept getting an error. I emailed them. It took me a couple of days 2 days to figure it out. And finally I got an email. They said, "Hey, things have changed. Just as of January 1st, this is what you need." I'm like, okay, cool. So I get to the airport. So no, I find this out and I'm like, okay, so I have a choice here. Like, if I land there, there's a chance that, well, I don't know what's going to happen. Right. So as the famous phrase that we have, well, we're going to fuck around and find out.
Yeah. Piece of paperwork in hand, smile.
Yeah, a smile. So first I get to the American Airlines gate, and they go through the whole little checklist of everything that's needed. And even they were like, well, it's saying that you need this instead of that. Again, I'm literally the first person going to the island on this new thing from the United States. Okay.
You're the guinea pig?
I am, yeah.
Rangers lead the way, baby.
Yeah. And I didn't know this until I got to the airport, right? So, because at the time what they had was, if you were traveling from New York, DC, or Florida going to Curacao, you didn't need that stuff, right? I know it's a political play more than a business one because those are the areas that residents from Curacao frequent, right? So anyway, so I land there, have all my paperwork in hand, and they're looking at it and they're like, "What state are you coming from?" I was like, "Well, Florida."
Well, you did go through Florida,
right? I'm like Florida, and she's like, it's at first it's just a customs person, and she's like, "Okay, well, it's not matching. We need this." So they call the supervisor over, right? Like, oh shit, stand over to the side. That's what they say. Stand over to the side.
We've all been there.
That's always a good sign.
Yes. Right? Yeah. Okay, stand to the side. All right, cool. Stand to the side. Go through this stuff. She comes up, and she's like, I could tell this is not going to go well at first, because just by that big mama look, like you just know, like, I don't know if you guys seen it, but like, black moms, Mexican moms, they give you that look like, are you fucking kidding me? Right?
No, they just look at you and
like,
know you're full of shit.
You can see it in the body
like,
position.
Damn it. And I was like, okay, just play like I didn't know, right? So she's like, you're supposed to have this. It doesn't, these results, you're from Washington. It's a super high risk area. We're not accepting you. Do you have money for a ticket to go back to Florida? This is what she tells me, right? I'm like, no, I don't have money to go back to Florida.
No, I'm completely broke.
No, I'm a disabled veteran. What are you talking about? No, I don't have money. And so she's like, okay, well, how much money do you have? And I'm like, what do you mean how much? I don't have any money. I'm here. I've already paid for my stay here. I'm here. And I said, actually, if you look at the new law that came in as of January 1st, all I need is this test. And she's like, okay. She's like, well, and she doesn't know. She hasn't seen the memo. I go, I have an email, ma'am. She's like, stop raising your voice. I'm like, I'm just showing you. This is what I got from the ministry of da-da-da. Well, I worked. And it's going back and forth for a minute. She says, and then I said, yeah, but January 1st. She's like, oh, okay. You want to? And then that's when I saw the light bulb. I was like, damn it. She's like, it's kind of that feeling of, are you done? Yeah. Because I got something for your ass, right? Are you done? And so she gave me that, are you done look? And I was like, yeah, I'm done. She says, what does it say then? January 1st. And when is that? Tonight. Okay. And I was like, I understand, ma'am. And then she's like, how much money do you have? I was like, well, she says, I need to know if you have money to stay here, if you need to quarantine this now. I was like, yes, I do. I have enough money to do that. She says, but you don't have money to fly back to Miami?
You got caught.
Shit.
You got caught.
Step aside. Fuck. Step aside. She comes over. She's like, give me your paperwork. Signs it off. It's like, you are lucky. If you get sick, it's your own fault. And I was
Friday.
like,
She doesn't want to deal with your paperwork.
exactly. So, to myself, I know there are no other flights until the next morning, when it makes it valid anyway, right? So so from there, she signs off. I go through customs, and I hit customs, and this guy is kicked up, feet up on the desk, and he's like, "Yeah, come on." I was like, "You don't want me to?" He's like, "Oh shit, let me get out of here, right? Let me stop asking so many questions." But yeah, it was interesting. But that gave me an experience of, if you know how to navigate, if you're a traveler and you keep calm, cool, collective, and you know the processes and you're comfortable with the systems, you can typically navigate and get through some stuff like that. So, it was, and then from there on, the next time I came back through, I saw her again. I was like, I just want you to know, I got all my shit here. Oh, she did. Yeah. I see her all the time now. Yeah. So it was good stuff. But yeah, in the middle of a pandemic, and that, and everything was shut down. So that's when we were supposed to kick everything off.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we were supposed to fly down there, shoot some videos with you and everything. And
and that got delayed a year. And then it was like, they had a spike again on the island. And then they shut everything down. Like literally, it's like overlapping a couple of days of the shoot. So it was just like, we didn't want to lose any time. So yeah, we had to postpone that. But since then, it's wide open now. It's the lowest COVID cases in all of the Caribbean. It's probably like maybe 7 a day out of 100, probably 200,000 people on the island right now with travelers. So yeah, it's such a blast. And people ask me like, well, what is it that you do every day now that you're retired and everything? And so that was 2.5 months ago, and it's been really just kind of adjusting, right? Like a transition is still a transition, and if you don't give it that kind of credence, I think that respect, it could kind of things could go a little awry.
I mean, your priorities in life completely changed.
Yeah, completely. And and it really, from that time that I went to the that TBI clinic and got everything, that's when a lot has changed for me since then. Like the ain't no minute like the last minute. Like I literally, like when Gads picked me up from the apartment to take me to the airport, I was like, huh, everything's just sitting by the door. Weird. That's weird. And okay, cool. Just a lot of cool stuff, like the anxiety, the depression, and all that kind of stuff. And I realized that a lot of those behaviors that I had, the last minute stuff, the just shit everywhere and throwing it in there, and
Your place stresses me out every time I go there.
Yeah, it's actually that's one of the signs and symptoms of, like, either you're going to be OCD about it, or it's a representation of what's going on in someone's mind and their life too, right? It's just chaotic, like shit's everywhere, and I didn't realize that was.
Did they talk about that in the TBI stuff? Like you mentioned the TBI, was it rehab or what?
Yeah.
Talk about that a little bit.
Sure. Yeah. So amongst the most recent travels that I had with John Wayne Troxel, the retired SEAC, right? We would travel. You explain SEAC for the people who don't know. Oh, right. Let me back that up again. So when I was with my most recent employer with Veterans Lending Group, I was able to, rise up to be National Director of Education, creating a boot camp system that spoke to thousands of veterans and trained thousands of veterans, military and real estate agents per year. And one of those things that I've kind of took a for-profit and did my nonprofit stuff with was, talking about benefits and transition, and obviously suicide awareness. So John Wayne Troxel, his rank is SEAC, which is the Senior Enlisted Advisor to the Chairman of the Joint Chiefs. So his direct reports when he was serving was General Joe Dunford and Secretary Mattis. So those were
okay.
So he's basically
the head
senior
soldier for the America.
right. So right, exactly.
Qualifies all that.
The most senior, yeah, exactly. So it's not he's over them, but he's the representative of the entire NCO Corps of the Department of Defense, right? Mm-hmm. So he had retired, and we brought him on as a brand ambassador because we did his loan and it went smooth and everything. So Mike and Brooke Villano, the founders and owners of Veterans Landing Group, invited him over because we were looking for a brand ambassador. So I didn't know what a SEAC was, right? We'll get to the TBI part. I didn't know what a SEAC was. I had to look him up, and I was like, yeah, okay, it's a cool name. I've never even heard of this, but it's a thing, and this is a big deal. Right?
Sounds important.
Like I know that, you know, and so at the time we had just done the Ranger for Life program, and it was a big success where we had hundreds of veterans in talking about that transition, all that. So I sat down with them. They were like, "We want him to meet you." Ironically, I'm taking a leak. I didn't lock the door because it's one of those things. And he barges in. Like, you must be Ronald Farrell. Yeah. Yeah.
This feels like a power play right now.
We'll fist bump when yeah.
Let me wash my hands first.
Yeah. You didn't just turn around? Yeah. Like
elbows, right? So when I sat with him, I said, "Hey, this is all fine and dandy that, you know, coming on, but here's my vision. Here's what's going on. I don't know what was going on in active duty and your time and the bridging that gap, but on this side, we're sucking. Nobody has their benefits. The benefits delivered to discharge. Oh yeah, I've been doing that. Well, okay, well nobody knows about that. And I said the vision that I have is to take this, go on the road and use these experiences to share them to active duty from the top down. Otherwise, no one's going to know about this. Working from the bottom up isn't working." And he's had this look on his face, like, as I was going over examples, and it was a look of, I didn't know. It's just that's what he said, brother. I didn't know.
Yeah.
So I said, well, I want to do this across DOD, and he's like, I'm fully on board. No, around the world. It's like, oh shit. I thought I was like throwing a big dream out there. He says, no, the world. And what he's talking about is our allied partners that are out there that also need this and assistance. And then, you know, from there we kicked it off into the Ron and John show in the middle of the pandemic because we traveled the first time to Fairchild Air Force Base, and which we had a guest not too long ago come and visit from there. Right, that was from that moment, and it just set up this chain of reaction. We kept getting invited and going out there. So one of the times we did an open house in Florida for Veterans Landing Group, and there was this retired Special Forces Sergeant Major, Jamie Wells. And he's like, he brought this axe throwing thing, and he's just, you know, doing, all right, cool, you're doing your thing. He says, well, hey, man, I just want to let you know, big fan of you guys, you know, Ron and John show, and what you guys, your message is. If you're ever interested in TBI, healing and recovery and stuff, you know, let me know. It just came through a great program. I've heard this before.
Yeah, I mean, we all have. I mean, and a lot of us have suffered from it. Me, you,
of course. It's like,
and everybody's got the newest thing.
Right. And I was like, all right, cool. Drink a cup of ayahuasca or something, bro. I got you, right? So I didn't really blow it off. I was intrigued, but I was like, all right. So a month later, John says, hey, we're going to go to Bragg. We got brief in the 82nd and a couple other spots up there in Virginia. And we're going to go to Dallas before we do that to meet Jamie and check out this program he's talking about. I'm like, all right. Like, I mean, I was like, all right, John, let's go. And he's like, I just feel like we owe it to him. I was like, no, absolutely. He came through. He did. And he's solid dude. So we show up there into Dallas to basically evaluate and look at this program because they, you know, obviously want to get the word out, and that what better to use it into a platform for their direct audience. So the first evening we met with, or for lunch, Las Colinas Pharmacy they're in Dallas, and which is a compound pharmacy, and this is a component to the TBI clinic. Now, at this point, I'm sharing this with you because I'm kind of through my eyes at the time, like I have no idea what the hell I'm even there for. I got off the plane. I'm in sweats, right? Because the times got shifted. So I'm in sweats and a hoodie in the middle of this doctor's office. John's in a collared shirt. And I'm like, I thought we were going to go to the hotel first. Brother, I thought so too, right? It's kind of like when I was on the Brass and Unity podcast. Yeah. And then there's Ron, right? So anyway, he starts talking about these hormones and hormones and amino acids and these meds that get the brain chemicals right. Serotonin, oxytocin, NAD+, ketamine treatments. We go through the whole PowerPoint presentation. And what he does is he donates a year of this medication for anyone going through this program through the Defenders of Freedom. Okay. Which was the nonprofit we were there visiting. So I was like, okay, cool. So that night we go back and we have some beers, and he's like, what do you think about that, brother? And I'm like, and I think it's cool. I've heard of this before. I know this part. I know works. Joe Roberts. Go ahead.
Yeah, the first time I read about it is former Green Beret Andrew Marr wrote a book, and I can't remember what the first title of it was, but I actually got the right part of the intro, but now it's called Through the Blast Furnace. And so Green Beret had to actually blow himself up to get his team to break contact.
Oh,
like he was they were under contact, and he had to make a really tough decision to set off a demo charge to give his guys the ability to escape. And he ended up like shaking himself unconscious really bad. And then it goes down his story of coming back, not being put together, alcohol, everything else, the standard TBI route that we all go down. And then he gets on goes through all the current DOD programs for TBI. They all fail miserably. And then he ends up going down to see some doctors in Texas. Mm-hmm. And they're like, okay, your brain is plastic. It's called neuroplasticity for a reason. It can heal itself, but it needs hormones in order to be able to do that.
Right.
But the problem is when you shake your brain, the neurotransmitter to your lymph nodes to generate the hormones to heal your brain are fucked up, right? So you can't even flip the switch to give your body the hormones to heal the brain. So by getting yourself on the right hormone therapy, you can kickstart everything, and then your brain will heal itself and reset, and then you can taper off everything. And hey, oh my God, you healed your brain.
Right.
Right. So back to you, Ron.
Yeah. That was a thing that was a up and coming for years, right?
And
we know guys that work
super expensive.
It's super expensive. That's the thing, right? And we're talking about guys that are like at a T level of, let's say 57. And they're supposed to be at like a 400 to 600 or 600 plus. Like, well, how do you do that? And if so, then you go to bro science, right? Well, I'll just put it in there. But we'll get to that part, which is fascinating, actually. So that part we said, this is awesome, but we'll see what's going on tomorrow. I'm not going to put any judgment on it. We'll find out. So the next day is when we met with Dr. Charlene Gaudet. Okay, and when we met with her and her team. Right. So she's a neurologist. She has an assistant neurologist. And what's interesting is that they all started in chiropractic, right? And then evolved from there.
We had a chiropractor on the podcast just recently. He describes chiropractors as the rebels.
The rebels.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah. They're like the witch doctors of the stuff, but the shit works. It's phenomenal. Right. So we're going through, introduce us, and they had a JTAC guy that was there going through the program, and they asked him if he didn't mind if we were there. He's like, yeah, fine. So we're going through all these areas. One of us a traction where they fill you're in this harness and it fills with air, kind of lightens you up so they could see where your footstep is, your natural walk when you're running, how much pressure you're putting on, all the way to stuff that makes you dizzy, memory tests and all that. So each gate we're going through, we'll call it, around the room essentially, she's talking about what it is. If you run into stuff, if you trip over things, if you forget your keys, you forget your wallet, if you have to psych yourself up to go get creamer from the store, instead you let it all expire until you have to go. All these things, right? Is there chaos in your house? And I'm like,
check,
yeah.
check.
All of them. And I'm having a hard time with this because this is the first time in my life anyone has seen or knows of those invisible wounds. Right? And what guys and gals like us go through on a daily basis, not to mention that fucking monster that's just kind of feels like you're battling all the time. And I used to say it's like I still say it's like a swan going through a smooth pond, right? Everything seems okay, but underneath they're kicking like hell, to stay up. And
well, I mean, backing up a little bit though, or like perspective wise, sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, no, please, yeah.
Being somebody who hasn't ever been shot at or had to shoot at a human, right? There's got to be some level of like confidence judgment. Like you believe something about those experiences that you've had in your life and it equals, we'll say, like confidence or a certain amount of like, I know that I'm okay or a badass because of like going to get coffee creamer shouldn't fucking scare me because I've done that. Now, how does that make you feel when that dichotomy shows up? Right. Like
exactly.
if I was you, that would fuck with me.
Right.
Right. Of like, I would beat the living shit out of myself knowing that I'm like, I don't want to go do this, or I don't want to clean that up, or this makes me feel weird right now.
Right.
But I've jumped out of airplanes and done all this shit and seen my buddies die and all the other stuff.
It makes you want to kill yourself.
Fair enough. But that seems like the point in it. Just listening to what you're saying, it's like, oh, like the self-talk part of that.
And it's,
we get all fucked up.
It is. And it's, and it's not that it's daily. It's almost every action.
Thought by thought kind of thing.
Yeah. I have
like
to go
noise.
do this. Oh, okay. To go do that. And so that somehow naturally that level of procrastination was anxiety of just trying to psych myself up. And then to where I got to a point where I had to act. I had to execute. And it just happened that I'd executed, behind the scenes, you got to see the BTS side of it. But to everybody else, it's like, oh, dude, you're doing great. This is fantastic. And, so, and in those years, it's like, even though I had the flexibility in the job that I had, right, there were days where, a lot of my classes were at night or I'd be traveling, moving around. But like, for example, the classes that would be in Washington, they were in the evenings. So I'd have to leave about 5, click the class at 6:30, get back about 10. But I'd be dreading that like all day. Some days it'd just be like in bed, covers over. Like, I know I have to go do this, but why, and why don't I care about what it's, next thing? So and it was one of those things I have to get through. It's like, it was like, it wouldn't happen like all the time. It was like, okay, I need 2 days of this and then go get through it. And then driving to, the destination, then I had, perseverance was going on, which is like a thought that keeps going on in the front of your head. And that was the last conversation that I had with Matt Wilson, because I was on the phone with him to a boot camp saying, we're going to get tacos tomorrow, buddy. And then, so on top, it's like, so I'd be just driving and I'd have to like cry for an hour there, get myself together, go do a class. Like, it's just, yeah. And then at the same time I get home and I'm like, I don't feel like doing shit.
Yeah. I do a lot of traveling, a lot of public speaking, and people are like, oh, you're really good at it. Like it comes with a lot of training, but what people don't see on the backside when you get home, you're wasted.
Yeah, dude.
They just,
yeah, man.
People who know me know that I never sit still. I'm always doing something. I bet I will not get off the couch.
Yeah. I don't think people really understand how much travel impacts an individual, like frequent travel, different time zones, flights. And I mean, I don't know, on top of that, all the anxieties that we have, right, with it. So, as she was talking about this, I'm just like trying to hold it together at this point, and, Donna Cranston, the founder of Defenders of Freedom, she saw that. And I think the whole team saw, like, I'm like, holy shit. Cause I'm a, still me, right? And I would say like, you gotta be fucking kidding me, right? That would just just jump out at them. But what was also cool is that because they've worked with so many vets like us, they're like, it didn't even faze them. And I'm like, oh man, okay, well, I'm already, again, safety, comfortable, right? Got that. So the end of that day, that's when John and I were like, this is fucking fascinating. Okay. And now here's the science of that is like you were talking about with the synapses, right? Okay. So what happens with the TBI incident is, and a TBI could be at birth. It could be, a fall, a hit, how many times you've been choked out, especially for stuff like in the military, right? Carl G's, right? Well, it's just an explosion going off.
It's an 84 millimeter recoilless rifle, right? That will take a tank off its feet.
Right.
It goes off right next to your head.
Right here. Let's talk about a 50 cal. You look at what it does to the body. It's jarring, that shockwave, all that stuff.
Artillery rounds, the 155 millimeter cannon. People do it in slow mo, and you can see the air and the pressure moving around it. Oh, that looks so cool in slow mo, 120 frames a second.
Yeah,
it's not cool for the brain.
Yeah, the mortarman that's standing on the 120 or 81.
You just see shock waves move through their body in slow motion.
All this stuff, going in the breach, or and even again, just any type of head trauma, jumping out of planes, you hit your head wrong. It's a thing. So when it jars that stuff, when the synapses fire to do something, they send that signal. It used to go straight to the point. The shortest point distance is A to B, right? Okay, straight line. Well, when a TBI occurs, now let's say that. Now there's an avalanche or a mountain, right? And it's just all shit. Well, it's still going to get there, right? It just might have to rappel down, take the river, right? Climb back up and then get to that. But what can happen, that message on the way, bears, critters, cold, when you think about that. So that could be anxiety, depression, miscommunication. I didn't understand that. Or, oh shit, along the river, I forgot some of this information. So when it gets there, it's like, yeah, it's blue. No, motherfucker, it was orange, actually. But,
and it's discounting all of the feedback you get along the way from all the other people in your life who are close to you or not close to you. Oh, that guy's not put together. Oh, that guy's a mess. Oh, that guy can't remember anything. Oh, he's an asshole. But meanwhile, they don't see all the chaos that's going on underneath that's leading to that outcome. You weren't that way when you were 18 before you joined the military.
Right. So I got an interesting point on that one, too. So what they have is the magic is, it's called TMS. Okay, it's TMS is it's a magnet, and I've got all this document. I'll give you that footage too if you want. But it goes on. So there's 4 quadrants and all that stuff. So they do all of these evaluations and tests, and then they're able to identify what part of that brain is affected, so that they can go in there and reactivate the mitochondria, just like you were talking about the neuroplasticity. Before, they didn't think the brain could heal itself. Now, obviously studies show now, no, it absolutely can't. So what it does is on the left side, this is what for depression and anxiety. Okay, so it just sits on your head. You put this little helmet on, and it just ticks, and it just, that's it. You're like, okay, it's painless. It's like ticking, and then they go on the other side a little bit. You go do then, and at that point, you go in and engage in different exercises, tongue stimulation. You do this thing where you stand on there, like a vibrating for your feet, because it activates the gut and gut health. And you're doing all these things, and along the way, she's breaking it down and sharing with you why this tongue stimulation, you're talking about the cortex, what it's doing, why it's doing it, and why it's doing it. They're doing it for you. So then at the end of the day, it's like you have the other side, which is addiction. Now, at that point, it's I was like, okay, so what happens is it activates the mitochondria. And so imagine this, and so let me get back to that. That avalanche, okay, imagine you have a road crew that comes in and blasts all that stuff away, raises bridges, and puts a 6-lane highway from A to B. Okay? That's what happens with this program. And it's permanent. Nice. Right? It's not like, okay, it tapers with, you have to put, obviously there's things you have to put work into, but it's permanent now.
So it's treating disease, not symptoms.
It's getting in, it's literally remapping your brain to connect all those synapses again. Okay. And then on top of that, with the hormones, and I call it's D3, right? Okay. For me, my teeth pretty high, baby, right?
That is for sure. Testosterone for those not in the know.
Yeah, testosterone. Yeah. And so what they do is so anyway, after that we were sold, right? So the following day, let me get to that. But the following day, Donna gave me a hug. We were in the PT area, and she says, "I got a $100,000 grant last night, and I'd love for you to be the first recipient of that and go through the program." And I'm like, squeezed her a little tighter, and I was like, "Thank you so much. I will do whatever it takes." And it's a 2-week program in Dallas. Okay. And so the first day is the battery of tests and all that stuff. Now that, it's a story here, but that morning that I flew out at 6:30 in the morning, and,
so you're up at 4:30.
Yeah, I'm up at 4:30ish, and headed out the door, and I'm just like, I'm nervous and stressed, right? And so this is when Saku was still at my place, and he drove me. So I was like, well, since I have someone driving me, so I took 2 shots of JMO, right?
4:30 in the morning.
5. Yeah.
5,
yeah. Come on, bro, not that bad, right? No. So then I get to the airport, and the bars just opened up, and I have 15 minutes to get to the gate. Pro, bro. All right. Oh, Group 8, got this. Sit down. I'll have 2 double vodkas and tonic, please. Sir, well, we can only bring you 1. I was like, all right, we'll bring me 1. She's like, but I got you. It's like, okay. So she drops it down, takes off, and I'm fucking on my phone for a couple minutes or something. I go to take this. She brings the other one. She's like, oh, you're not done yet? I was like, I will be. So I pounded those 2, which was more like 3 shots in each. Get on the plane, get there, and check in, whatnot. The following day, it's day 1. I'm like, all right, let me just be cool tonight and calm the nerves. And we go through the first level of tests, of everything. You're just the whole battery of tests, so they could show you from before to after, anxiety, depression, eye movements, all that. And it's only for 4 hours a day. Okay. So they've got it because you need the rest of that time to recover, right? Just to rest. So we go to lunch after that first day. She did the left side. So as she's described, hold on, she says, one of the questions on there was, how many drinks do you have? Do you have more than 7 drinks in a week?
You're like, I had more than 7 drinks this morning.
Bingo. That's exactly what I said.
I've been there with you in other scenarios as well. Yes.
I was like, try this morning. And she's like, okay. She's like, well, we could take care of that. And okay, I was like, because it was during the panel, what do you want to change? I was like, depression, anxiety. She's like, oh, okay, we could take care of that. I'm like, wait, okay, well, what do you mean you could take care of that? That's how she said it. Just, okay, we'll take care of that.
Oh, that easy. Yeah.
Hold on.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. We're those Crocs, right?
You got more?
Right? You got more, right? No, I don't. Look at me like that. Yeah. So she said, get rid of that. And I said, memory. I want to get my memory back or have better memory and recollection, She says, well, I could do that. We can do that, and we can work toward that. But just know that the memories that do come back, I can't control what they are. It could be a good thing, bad thing, that. So she's like, so before, I just want you to be prepared for that. And so I kind of smiled, and I said, well, I've been through 3 ayahuasca journeys and regularly meditate on mushrooms. And she was like, oh, you're good. And I was like, she knows, right? Cool, right? So yeah, so then we go to lunch, right? My buddy Adam and I, another vet there, and it's Tuesday, right? And I was like, okay, well, I'm a beer tacos, right? That was that night. So I have sandwiches, I have a sandwich and a beer, 22, right? We both get one, and I'm like, all right. And then I do what I normally do, just out of habit. It gets halfway through, get another one, but I'll take a smaller one this time. Thanks. Sandwich, you get through that beer. The other one comes, and I'm like, fuck. I love you, but I don't want you right now. But I ain't no bitch, so I found it. Okay? And I did not, I was like, okay, but it was just out of ego.
You paid for it.
Pride. Yeah. Whatever. Go
That's
back to
just
the hotel.
head trash.
Head
literally.
trash.
Literally.
Yeah. Go back to the hotel. And it drains you, right? Took a nap and all that. Just relax. Actually, I don't think I took a nap, but just relaxed. That night, Taco Tuesday. Find the Mexican restaurant. Oh, margarita. Halfway through the margarita, I was like, it's not that I can't drink it. I literally don't want that. I ended up having to take a picture of it. Like, I can't believe this. And that was the first day. And I was like, holy shit. And then the next day, it was like, it's kind of like, you talk with a doc, and she says, there's going to be these things that you say, oh, by the way, doc, because we're going to be releasing different memories. And when that happens, you need to let me know, right? So it's like, oh, by the way, doc, oh, yeah, there was this one jump. Okay, where did you hit? And all that stuff, right? And then there was this one point where it was, toward the end of the program, oh, by the way, doc, as I remember when I was a kid, I was probably 7 or 8 in Paris, California, jumping around in my grandparents' ranch, big rocks and stuff, right? And I was with my cousin Dominic. Dominic probably doesn't remember this, but I was with Dominic, and we were jumping boulders, and I jumped, and I went head first. And I had this big goose egg, and I don't remember much besides remember waking up on my grandma's couch in the air conditioner. And then subsequently there, I've had, more TBI, the ones that are documented in the military. But since going through the program, and then especially once you start tapping into the meds and doing, physically what you're supposed to do, I can't remember. Like, there's people, like when you were saying, getting back to that point, like, I haven't felt like this since I was 18.
Yeah.
I don't remember feeling this good in life since I was a little boy. Like
that's validating.
Right. Because and so that's validating, because what they say is that this will reset to before any TBI incident. I got chills right now. Yeah.
I got chills.
And it's like and popping back, I was like, holy crap. All that time in high school, this time, because I could pass a test, and I thought it was just that, there's just like all that wildness and forgetfulness. And I remember even after the incident when I was in battalion, the second one, and and here I am. They're like, they wanted to keep me, but I have to be, that's when I started doing all the computer stuff and ADP and all this stuff. I remember thinking there, like, man, in this state, what am I gonna do, like, in life? I knew, like, there's that helping hand of other spiritual stuff where it's like I knew I was gonna be okay, but I didn't know, like, what I was gonna, because I was like, college, like that, right? It was just weird feeling. But so anyway, since going through that clinic, came back and told John, like, man, this is crazy. It works. Like, so since then, 0 suicidal ideation, anxiety at a low. I'd had 1 panic attack, but that was more self-induced, too much coffee, thinking about stuff. But I was able to be like, oh, I forgot my L-theanine in. Yeah.
I've put Ron in some compromising situations before. Yeah.
On the side of a mountain. Yeah.
In front of your boss.
Yeah.
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 That's a story for a different
That's a story
podcast.
for a different podcast. Yeah. But yeah, so but since going through that program, it definitely changed my life. I told John, I was like, I'm a believer in it. And so it just so happened that I went to Curacao right after that, and I told the docs. I was like, hey, I'm going to go. They're like, hey, that's actually a perfect environment. And by the way, document that so we could, look at this as an after program too, because ultimately it's all about your environment, how being in an environment conducive to those environments, it all helps. Right. So, and then on that trip, I was doing classes for VLG, but this time it was virtual, and I still travel here and there. But I got to the point where I was like, I'm done with that life now. Like, I've taken it as far as Ron O'Farrell can take that, to where, not that it's not any fun anymore, but I'm ready for the next thing. I'm ready that to be handed off to someone that could run that. Whereas for me, I know I build it, right? That journey was important and impactful. So, at the point I determined, well, what am I going to do with the rest of my life now? Like, or at least this next stage and chapter, right? I don't say the rest of my life like that, but I said, okay, well, I want to narrow that down. Obviously, it's Curacao. Continue to travel and support veterans and be a champion of this TBI recovery program with DACA Day and Defenders of Freedom, because this is what this like it saved my life, really, because or otherwise, I had been I was in a bad situation one evening, about this point would be about 6-7 months ago, and it was an awakening thing where it's like, man, I'm doing all the things, I think, right? I'm doing physical stuff. I'm lifting heavy shit. Zone 2 cardio.
Yeah, you really changed up. Yeah, the last year I watched you change your patterns.
Yeah, and it was out of I needed do something and be that representative, but at the same time, those weights are heavy, man. Like just that emotional weight of everybody, and so. And not having and the travel, man, was just crazy, and it was like I needed a shift. And anyway, so with that, retired from that, and that was so freeing, And I was a Monday meeting, our regular education meeting, and I said, let them run the meeting, because we had already brought in a new national director of education and stuff. Because 6 months prior, I had already said, hey, this is what I'm going to do. I said in December. Remember, I told them, and then or November, whatever it was. So yeah, like one day prior to my 6-year anniversary, that's when I was like, hey guys, you got the ball from here. You got the con. You guys are doing fabulous. I'll just travel with John and do this thing. But they wanted, because it was a Veterans Lending Group sponsored thing, they wanted someone that, was going to be in loans and stuff like that a lot more. And whereas I'm going in a different pattern. So it was a good journey, and it was a good relationship. A lot of fun, and still big supporter and champion of them, and with John as well, and we'll see what happens in the future of doing other stuff together, because we are, it's like that's the whole thing with this community. It's not like
it's like the mafia. Once you're in, you
can't
get out.
Can't get out. Yeah,
can't get out.
Yeah. So I've since then I've narrowed down kind of what it is in this. The more I talk about it, the more it comes to, this actually makes sense. So, as far as combating, we say veteran suicide, but suicide in general. But like when we're talking about the traumas that we've been through, is a trifecta, right? The whole thing I did with this, it's the science, right? And that's getting the brain right, getting the science right, collected. And a lot of people don't even know that they have a TBI. I remember when I was documenting it, I had a lot of friends, helicopter pilots, people that have been around shit blowing up all the time. And they're like, how do you know you have a TBI? And I thought it was just Rangers giving me shit, right? Like,
dude, I'm literally thinking about it right now. Like, we're all sitting down, but the amount of times that I've knocked my ass out, like literally knocked my ass out just on construction sites, bashing my head on shit.
Congratulations. Welcome to the club.
Like,
TBI now. Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I've been electrocuted in the head, of like all sorts of stuff, right? Like Griff knows that story.
A kid in class just comes up and hits him with a fucking high charge to the back of his head and knocks him out.
I was 16. Like so
dude,
you know
tell
those.
Me that story.
So remember, how old are you?
45.
Okay, so I'm 48. So you guys remember in like science class they bring out the hand crank generators, the little ones, and have everybody hold hands.
Yeah,
and they'd sit there and like pulse it, and you could feel the pulses.
Military.
Yeah. It's just a little tiny guy, right? They're very low flow, low amperage, right. But they were electronics class in 1989, 90, sophomore in high school, so it'd been 89. They had one of those. Substitute teacher, whatever. I'm in lab. I'm sitting there doing stuff, and this kid walks up to me. And it's like, hey, dude, put your collar down. I had a jacket on. It was cold. He's like, you put your collar down and look better. And I'm like, what the fuck? And then, like, vision went total trip ass, flashy. I was looking that way at this dude holding 2 wires, and his eyes were, like, that fucking big. He's just like, holy shit. And I'm like, what the fuck? And, like, kind of pain, but not. And then the kid was just running and some other dude was laughing. And I'm not a violent man. Like, I'm
Not at all.
I am not a violent
peaceful.
man. This is the only time I've attacked a human on purpose. And just like autopilot. And I was a big kid.
Yeah.
Wailing on this dude in the corner of the room, not really even knowing why. Snapped out of it of like, you know, there's this substitute teacher who's probably like 21 years old. Where there was just this
6'7"
just
athletic
explosion of shit just went down in electronics lab, right? Yeah. And somebody's freaking out, and I'm just like wailing on this dude, and then I just kind of stop and back up, and I'm like, what the? And I look, and there's these really long, thin wires going off to the locker of the little where you check your shit out.
Yeah.
And what they basically did is took that thing and were like, whatever. I can't remember the kid's name right now, but nonetheless, there was plenty of history of just like bullshit high school
we'll
agitation.
Call him Doyle.
It wasn't, I didn't have really any real problems with anybody, but whatever. Like, it made sense that this asshole did this and his brother. But they took that generator and basically went 180 degrees as hard as they could. They just went bam, not even a full revolution. But when he touched me, the kid just slammed it. Right?
Oh.
So a couple hours later, I'm in art class and I'm doing stuff. And I locked up from base of spine, the whole spine. I mean, I just like, and couldn't fucking move. Like, barely. I'm like, I need to go to, you know, the nurse or whatever. And I didn't tell anybody about it. It was just like, you know, whatever.
Kind of like shitting your pants. Like, oh, I'm okay.
Like, this is fucked up. I'm like, I did just get electrocuted in the head a couple hours. So now I'm all right. I go to the nurse and she calls mom and like, oh, whatever. And I end up at the doctor. My doctor lost his mind. He's like, I'm gonna fucking kill that kid. And he was like, what? And he's like, stop your heart. That could do like all this stuff, right? I'm like, okay. Put me on a bunch of muscle relaxers and whatever. Got, you know, pharmaceutical high for 48 hours and went back to school. Go back to school. I went and grabbed that thing and put it on a meter. And when I did it, it was 60,000 volts. At like microamperage, right? Like no flow. So it was basically like the brain equivalent. When I talked to my doctor about that, he's like, it's kind of the brain equivalent of like, not like a bad pillow fight, but like the Incredible Hulk hitting you with a mattress, right? So it's like not actually going to hurt you, but holy shit. It's because, you know, voltage is pressure and amperage is flow, right? So a lot of punch, but with like, it's the amperage that kills you. Is basically what it comes down to with electricity. But that's it. I'm like 16, right? And that happens. So that, at that point,
maybe
like,
that's why you're so weird.
Dude, my dad actually, like, that's a whole other story. I don't talk to my dad anymore, but nonetheless, like, there were multiple times my parents were divorced and we didn't really know each other and we've been through all sorts of shit along the way. But he just kept coming back to it used to piss me off because like we'd have these conversations and sometimes like we'd be disagreeing about something and then he'd blame it on that and I'd just be like, fuck you, dude. Like, what? Yeah. Like, no, man, I don't disagree with you because I got electrocuted. Like,
right.
You know,
that's fucked up.
I might think differently because I was electrocuted, which may have caused us to disagree, but like that's a reach or, you know, anyway.
Yeah.
But like there was that. And then I don't mean, now I'm just like reflecting. So whatever, we're talking about TBI stuff.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's
two times before the age of 5. One time I bashed my head on a fire mantle when I was 3 watching Mr. Rogers.
Yeah.
And the other time was a headboard of my grandmother's bed at like 5 years old, running around the house.
Yeah.
I still have the scars on my forehead and all that stuff.
So, you know.
And so it's interesting as I sit here and listen to you talk and then some of like what happens in here.
Right.
You know, like I've got some stuff that, I mean, everybody has anxiety and everybody has their own level of being depressed about things and that sort of stuff. But there's once or twice a year of like, how to put it? Like everybody says like they're here. It's not a hearing voices. It'd be like if you could convert all your thoughts to sound and then turn them all up to about 4 with absolute clarity at the same time. So like it's like if you were at a football stadium and everybody was talking at the same time, it'd turn into white noise. But if you could still differentiate everything
That's not everybody's morning.
at the same time.
Right.
But yeah, like once or twice a year, I'll be sitting there like working on things or doing stuff. And a lot of times it actually happens when I'm doing 3D modeling and like really focusing on like grinding on processes and whatnot. And it's almost like I'm sitting there just listening to this, like, I'll tell myself like, yep, you're not crazy. You just roll, bro. Like just it for like 2 hours.
Yeah.
Like, this stuff just is firing. And those times I'm like, yeah, maybe it's getting shocked in the head. Like, I don't know, man.
Okay, there's a gift there.
Yeah. I don't know.
So, well,
anyway, there's a rabbit
it's
hole.
Thought provoking. No, it's, and that's why we have these conversations about it.
There's so many different
ways. Yeah.
Ways. I mean, you've got like your hard skull and this little soft organ in it that's really kind of important, and then shakes. I remember they were talking about underwater divers, and when they set off explosions underwater, they'll typically hide behind a structure so the explosion will go around them. But even if their toes are exposed, that shockwave will hit their toes and vibrate up through their spine, and then all the way to the top
cortex, and then
shake the brain. And I remember I used to be able to run, gun, remember 10-digit grids, talk to 5 different aircraft in the air, keep all the call signs sorted, mentally know where my guys are on the ground, and separate everything at night under high stress conditions. And I remember I got to a point where I couldn't remember, when you get the two-step authentication on your phone and it sends you 6 numbers.
Yeah.
And I couldn't remember those 6 digits to go between the time it took me to scroll between the app on my phone. I'm like, man, something's wrong. That was 2015, 2016 when I really started noticing that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. One of the the techniques that they have, it's the gyro stem. That's the one where it looks like I'm in the TIE fighter.
Yeah.
Right. And so what that does is once they do the, again, TMS or brush everything up, you get in this thing and it rotates, and then that's how it starts. It rotates 360 once, and then she says, okay, tell me when everything is, stable again, right? Okay, got it. And then you kind of works into it, like, okay, now I'm going to put you inverted and, this, couple ways. So when it goes upside down, breathe in. When it comes out, breathe out, right? Because chest compressions, like, okay, do that. Okay, well, tell me when it stops. Okay, it stops. So then that time got shorter, right? And then she says, okay, I want you to remember this. I think I might even remember it, ish. Left, right, red, green, 2, 5 up, right? All right, so you're like, okay, left, right, 2, green, left, right, up. Okay, and then you get into it. Okay, boom. Left, right, 2, green, 2, 5 up. Okay, cool. And then how we're gonna do is we're gonna do it even more. So what's happening is as you go upside down like that, your brain is working to remember this, and it's sending blood flow to your brain to do that. So then when you come up, you're like, boom, here's what it is. And then your brain's like, and then it's just like, okay, these highways are connected. Fucking get off the ride and go on to the next thing. And it got to the point where I was remembering. So now, dude, I remember those things now. Phone numbers. Yeah. Like, and I was a combo guy too. Frequencies, 32, whatever. And then now, like those codes, it's like, oh yeah, okay, cool. Forgetting my keys or stuff like that. I've learned to trust myself again, right? Like on the way here, I was looking for my AirPods, right? Driving, I'm like, did I leave them? Usually be a panic. Oh shit, I left them. You dumb, Again, getting back to those things, you dumbass. You're all that negative talk.
Yeah, the self-talk.
And I was like, no, you're better than that. Hold on, where did you put that? Okay, you put you got your phone, you rolled it up. The charger rolled it up. Oh yeah, it's in the second pouch. Boom, there it is. Forget, or it's the peace of mind after is it's incredible.
How do they address sleep? Do they talk to you a lot about sleep?
It comes with it. So good thing we're talking about sleep. So my sleep pattern in those years was every 2 hours I'd sleep. I couldn't sleep more than 2 hours at a time, maybe an hour and a half, max of 6 hours. and that's all you get, you know. But I needed the 6. 5 was a little shy. I could get through it. Other than that, it's just not happening. During this program, so now I sleep. I need 8 hours, and it's not like waking up 8 hours. It's like the best way. I'll explain it the only way I know how. When I go to sleep now, instead of I need so many drinks to go to sleep, I needed this to go to sleep, or a little melatonin, sleepy app up, lay down, and it's like I sleep so comfortably. It feels like I'm hugging myself. It feels like the like my first night of Aya, like just in there. Right. Wake up, feeling good, feeling refreshed, and like happy, like. So during the program, Adam and I would bounce stuff back and forth to each other, like, because I was freaking out a little bit the most, I think, because I'm like, this shouldn't. I'm not drinking, I'm not doing this, I'm not doing that. So I would provoke it, like, hey, bro, do you feel like, I don't know, happy for no reason right now? Because I just don't know what I'm feeling right now. And he's like, no, dude, I feel good. Like, I'm just thinking the same thing. I'm like, okay, all right, cool.
Yeah, different is different, right?
It's yeah, man. And then we'd go out and have drinks, right? Max of 2 beers in a night. We were like, good. All right, man, let's go back. All right, cool. Up at we had to be at the place at 8, so we're up in the morning doing our thing. And it's a game changer. It's a life changer, man. And so as much, and it's open to civilians as well, And so the thing about
what's the name of the place again, so that way people can, if they've listened to this far.
I'm gonna let me pull it up here real quick, because she's since left there. But hold on, I got it.
We'll put it in the show notes as well too.
Yeah,
if you want to check it out. And it's one of those things. If you're listening to this, and if you got friends or family members or whomever, and they're tired of listening to you tell them that their brain's messed up, like just forward them the podcast.
Absolutely. I would say the first thing is it's Defenders of Freedom. Let me fill up the website here, because that's the nonprofit, but that'll lead you right into
TikTok, Ron.
Yeah, I know. TikTok. Here we go. I had to take it off of airport mode.
Now your shit's gonna blow up.
Right? It is defendersoffreedom.us. And that's where you can get the information about the program. Right there, just right on top, it says brain treatment. Just tap on that, and it'll put you right into the program here, as you can see. Right.
That's cool.
A lot of our buddies and stuff are in there. Oh, look.
There's your little TIE fighter system.
There's the little TIE, all that stuff. And what's interesting is when I got back, just real quick, and then we can go to the next topic. But when I finished that, had a very close friend of ours, right? And he was going through it, like, and had been. It's been something that we've been a thing, like, but he was one of the ones that was also impactful and a force in that movement that night that I had my scare. But I remember getting back, and he was like, dude, I'm in a bad way. Like, I don't know what's going on. And I'm like, he wasn't like, pulling pistols out or anything, but the recklessness that we have, like, it's just like, but if we go, we go, right? Whatever. And, but having been going through that, I knew the chemicals and everything that was going on in his body and everything like that. I'm like, okay, when you're with your family, when you're with your kids, your serotonin's banging, oxytocin, everything is, because that's what brain's creating from all that joy, right? It's all chemicals. Then when that's not there, there's nothing to bring that up besides,
driving fast,
booze, recreation, all that stuff, right? So I got back, and I made a call, and was like, Donna, my best friend's gonna die, and he needs to get this. He'll do whatever it takes. Made a spot. He dropped everything. Went out.
And he's
there.
a busy dude too.
Yeah, let's taboo.
Like,
yeah,
ridiculously busy guy. Like, I think I'm busy. He's busier than me.
Yeah. It's and to put in perspective, he has really 8 businesses that he runs. Plus, he does flips houses and all this stuff. Okay, But so for someone like that, and I know it's just like to say, I'll do whatever it takes, bro. And I knew it. I said, okay, here we go. Pulled the trigger, planned it out. Went there for 2 weeks. Came back, different guy. Like same guy. Right. I'll say it's a different guy. Same guy, but the control, the frontal lobe not crashing to where, you know, just like that's what happened with you. Like when it snapped and you didn't know what was going on, you were unstoppable. That means everything here of any shred of you shouldn't do this is out the fucking window.
Yeah, your lizard brain and you're just you're wailing on something.
Gone.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And so with the addiction, with just the happiness, you know, he came out to Curacao. So, I mean, I was like, and we'd talk about it. We're like, dude, can you imagine us 2 years ago right now? We'd be, you know, and it's like, no, man, we still rage, but in a much classier way now, you know?
And the difference about it is too, is you get yourself into these communities that are kind of in the same boat, and you'll either have, you know, positive habits or negative habits. And typically when you're in this state, you get into a community of negative habits, and then eventually you'll come to the point where like, I don't want my life to be this negative all the time. And then you make the change. And I think one of the hardest parts about it is that how your social circle changes, how your friend group changes. Yes. You know, and you know, I've discussed this with him a bunch, and you know, because I talk a lot, because I don't drink anymore.
Right.
And saying how the people you hang out with and what you do on your regular time, it's going to make a major shift. Yeah. Like, because if you're not going on hang out and get smashed every night and go out and, you know, spend money at the bar and do all of those other things, like the people you used to do that with, they still want to go do it.
Yeah.
And you're opting not to. So you're socially, you're going to have a dynamic change. Right. And I warned him about it. And then he's called me a couple of times since then. He's like, yeah, man, like I don't hang out with these people anymore. Like,
yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah. He doesn't. We were, what was it? Just before he went to Texas. I was like, yeah, man, what's going on? How you doing? This, that, and the other. And he's like, oh, I said, what are you doing this weekend or whatever? He's like, oh, I'm just going to chill, man. He's like, or what? I'm going to go out in my boat and hang out with a bunch of people that want to use me for my money and shit. And I was like,
want to go get hammered on your boat, basically.
You know, and it's, I mean, not to say that everyone's like that, but like it's the strangers, people that just tag. It's like it's just that life, you know. And whereas we had lunch just yesterday, and I was I asked them. I said, well, you know, we met at DOA down in Tacoma, and he's not drinking right now. He says, oh, I'm not drinking. I was like, oh, okay. You know, so usually it's like an alarm. It's like, okay, why? Right. But I'm also of the belief that if someone's not going to, and he is too, right? If someone's not going to, chooses not to drink, that's cool, but I'm still going to have this beer if I want to.
Right. Yeah.
That's, you know, so, because it wasn't like he's like alcoholic problem, right?
Yeah, he didn't ask you not to drink.
Yeah. So we ended up having a margarita together, but he was like, yeah, and drew it at 1. But I was like, so yeah, so what's going on? He's like, oh no, dude, it's just, I'm getting fat. I just need to like slow down. I've been eating out too much. I was like,
I'm glad you said it and I didn't.
Yeah, I was like,
bro, you're looking
that's
round.
cool, bro. Yeah, I was like, all right. And yeah, man, it was awesome. We had a drink together at lunch, and we left, and he went to go do his houses, and I went to go, I don't know, something for Curacao, looking up, just work, right? Just about our day. Whereas when we met, I mean, we're 8-9 beers deep. Like there's no, like we're sitting here at lunch, but we're going to leave at 5 or find the happy hour the next. And it's cool to see the difference, you know, and
he's happier. I could tell.
Way happier. Yeah. So it's all, it's all good, but that's, you know, that's that science side. But, you know, the doc herself, Doc a Day, what really convinced me that this is something that really to jump into. I was like, so she's like, I've been through this program twice myself. And I was like, what? She's like, she says motocross. I mean, she's badass. Right. First of all, she's a fucking badass, cool as shit. And she's like, yeah, I, you know, messed myself in professional motocross, and you know, here I am in the middle of an MBA with another TBI. So she went through the program and then got through it, and it's incredible. Even like drinking now, it's different. Like we had to kind of figure out our body now with the new chemical balances and stuff, because like the next day you feel if you drink too much the night before, the next day is a little bit not depressed, but just kind of like meh, you know. But it makes you think like, why do I feel this? It's not like, okay, depression is being on set. It's what did I do to make this trigger? And oh, okay, that's what it is. Because it's still about choice, right? I mean, the universe, God, wherever you say it believe in, you still can make the choice for you, right? And whether you decide to make those choices and how you feel afterward, but yeah, this way it's way better, right? So there's the science, and then there's the other part of that is that purpose, right? That purpose side of that be spiritual religion, ayahuasca, mushrooms, family, whatever, right? And then that bottom of that is community, right? And I think that's that trifecta, especially the community side, right? I mean, we can, we all have that. Well, strive to have that. Hey, I need to talk to you, or drop a text like, no, like now. All right, what's up? And we owe it to not only ourselves, because especially in our community, it's hard to think about ourselves, right? That's one of the things about transition. It's the hardest thing to do. Is we always say is that you spent your whole career worrying about everybody else. But this is an individual sport. You got to worry and think about you for once. And if you can't take care of yourself and you want to continue that mission, you can't.
Yeah, I always like the line of you can't pour from an empty cup.
I love that line when you say it. Yeah, you can't pour from an empty cup.
You can't pour from an empty cup.
You used to tell me that, like, actually a lot. That's how I know.
Take care of yourself, man.
Yeah, take care of yourself, man. Yeah. And it's so important, and for me now, looking at it, it's my self-care is to care for everyone else. If I can't take the time and do these things, how am I going to be an influence, or how can I, share a resource, or how can I, motivate others to be those, like, force multipliers out there that are doing good work in their own way, right. Stuff like this, and yeah, it's fantastic to see.
Speaking of force multipliers, I want to shift because we're gonna have a completely separate podcast on this one.
Okay, what's that?
You've been involved with space a little bit lately. You've learned more about space, than most people have over the last year or two.
Correct.
Right. And a lot of people know that Space Force is now a thing, and because of your journeys with SEAC,
yes,
Mr. John Wayne Troxel, you've had some exposure into space.
I have. Yes.
So are we like teeing up the teaser for Ron version?
Well, one is I just want to
2.0.
shoot him into outer space.
Yeah.
Put the bookie into space, but like,
Griff knows why I want to go to space. So the reason I want to go to space is I only want to do two things. I want to get there. I want to look at the Earth, and then I want to turn around.
Okay.
That's it. Everything else, bring it. But that's what I want to do.
Right.
It's like I came from there. Whoa. Like that's it. No preconceived notions of anything else. Of just I want that moment of getting to turn around.
There's a couple people doing that, I think, here. Yeah.
It costs you a little bit of money.
Costs a little bit of cash, but like that's.
Yeah, that's space is I didn't really know how involved, or I don't think anybody really, unless it's in your face in the media, you don't think about space, right? And the Space Force, and it was a big joke, and like, why the hell we have a Space Force? And so the thing is that, obviously everybody knows the United States has been the leader in space. I mean, obviously for a long time, right? As far as the advancement of our, I wouldn't say dominance, but presence in space. So what really turned people's eyes on, and the reason for the culmination and the push for this is, obviously we have a lot of assets in space. Over time, it's cultivated into where there's actually customers that we have, or I say we as this Space Force and U.S. Space Com. So those are two different things. But there's now there's probably more. But at the time of the briefing, which is FOUO, I mean, that's actually it's unofficial. It's public information, but it's about 4 to 5 billion customers, and those customers range from John Deere tractors to iPhones to globally, right? And those are of those assets. We have to protect those assets that are in space. Well, when China fucked around and found out if they could shoot their own satellite down, and it worked, that's when, wait, what?
The implication is that, they could shoot their own down, which means they can shoot yours
They
down.
can
Correct.
shoot a satellite down.
Correct.
Who gives a shit whose it belongs
Exactly.
to?
Right.
And when you see this stuff get shot up into outer space, you're like, man, that looks like an aluminum can. I mean,
Yeah.
because you have to get over physics to get it actually into orbit. So it's all lightweight.
Right.
Yeah, it doesn't take much to fuck it up.
Yeah. And they they shoot stuff up regularly up, I've learned. It's not just like big spaceship stuff. I mean, satellites are going up like, I don't know, maybe 1 or 2 a month or more, depending on what the mission is, right? And so we are ahead in the space race, right, as far as currently. But it's okay, they're going to catch up to us. And at that point, what happens when there's this uncontested space, right? And that's right now, it's uncontested. So I think I'm estimating here, but I remember there's about a 20 to 40,000 kilometer difference. But the international, space is about 80,000 kilometers above Earth, right?
Because about 24,000 kilometers is the geosynchronous orbit, when you need to hold a satellite over a certain piece of terrain, the way the gravity works from the Earth. If you get it at that altitude and hold it there, it will swing around and stay over that position of Earth. And then you have all the other ones that are circling around, so they're above or below. So
Exactly.
all that. But like once you get out past that, it's the universe.
So that's where we say it is, as far as the U.S. It's like 120,000, whatever. But so the Space Force is there to really cultivate those systems and processes and things that whatever it is they do in space. Then you have Space Command, which is actually a combatant command. And we interviewed Scott Stalker, Master Gun Scott Stalker, who's runs that. At the time before that, he ran the Cyber Combatant Command. And it was just really interesting. That's where you have the the satellites that can do all the things, right? Zoom in and tell you all whatever it is that they do, right? And they have this. It's fascinating inside there. The command center, the control center. I mean, they had a lot of the stuff, blocked off for security when we were walking in. But I remember one of the briefings that we had in the skiff. They'd finished the unofficial brief, and then they had to clean the room, and I walked out. Right, they were like, "We're going to brief the SEAC now," and they just, pulled the drapes up or whatever. So I'm sitting out there, and there's a Air Force lieutenant escort or whatever, and out there just, because it's brand new, right? They're just like, keep an eye on him, right? So I'm thinking, I'm like, damn, I wonder what's, because you wonder, like, what's going on in there, right? Like, and so one of the things that I'm looking for is, I need to see what John's face looks like when he comes out of this thing, right? And if he's like, fuck, then... then fuck. Right?
How'd he come out?
He came out like, holy shit. Okay. Like wow, and of what was planned, what was going on, and the plans for the future it was a lot more comforting than not. We'll put it that way. And I mean, this is someone who, when you travel together with someone, you could tell someone's like, oh shit, right? Now we went out, did what we did, crushed a bunch of beers and ran in the morning, but talked about it. But it was very impressive. So I will say that that's going to be one that's going to be very tight-lipped because of of what's going on out there. It's all new frontier. You got so many different countries that are now vying for that space, and what does that look like, and where those assets go, and it's wild, but it's there. Oh, one of the, and I don't know, I have no idea if there's any truth to this, but when you travel with John, it's always senior level, leadership, right? So it's like 15 E9s in here. We're at dinner. I was hitting it off with one of them who's like working on some special project or something. So and then there's Ron, right?
Yeah.
So I was like,
I'm like jet skis,
right? I'm like, so I asked the question, that everyone was dying to know, right? Like, so what about that spaceship door gunner position?
Yeah.
And he just kind of looked at me. He goes, I was like, no way. Right? I mean, he didn't. I don't think it'd be a person, but it's like, if China can do it, we've probably thought about that. I mean, think when you consider years ago, Space Wars, Reagan era stuff.
So there's actually a firm here, Intellectual Ventures, and the scientists actually designed that. And if you think about it, an ICBM's traveling at 12 to 15,000 miles an hour. It's moving fast.
Yeah.
And they proved that they could shoot down something moving that fast in orbit back in the 80s.
Yeah.
And they took that technology and they used it for mosquitoes, where they were trying to fight malaria, and they developed a system that I think it's like up to 60 meters could detect the wing beat and the type of mosquito, because females mosquitoes are the ones that transmit malaria. Could identify a female mosquito and shoot it out of the air with a laser to provide yourself a net. And that technology's old.
Yeah. You know what? They actually had it deployed in country in Iraq, and they changed it up to what's called the JTAD system, which shoot mortars out of the air, right? But that's crazy. I mean, look at Israel. Was the
Iron Dome?
Iron Dome.
Yeah.
When they shot, were shooting like what, hundreds? It's like it was like that video game where it's like, little asteroids are coming and you have a missile control or something like that, right?
Maybe I'm naive, but of course we ought to be able to do that. Like, technologically now, to be able to track a physical object, and have machinery that can physically aim at it at the proper rate of movement.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's like duck hunt on steroids.
it's just like, of course we have the shit that can do that, right?
Yeah.
Like,
I was talking to somebody about that, and they were like, "Yeah, it's just like shoots a bunch of little, like it destroys the warhead or something like that." But here's the other part, though, is that it also depends on how fast that thing's going. So this new little hypersonic toy that China's got, it's a little interesting.
sure.
It's like 20,000 miles an hour or something like this.
Yeah, I mean, it's not anything new. I mean, Russia has been trying to get it to work for a while. Now the concern is like, okay, can they put a warhead on it? I mean, you can get the thing, but, and that's the whole push toward, we need to protect what we can and stay ahead, and stay ahead and stay winning in the space. I don't know if it's a space race, but the dominance.
Right. Just seems like if you just get up there and then just wipe out all the comms, then what?
Well, that's one thing that I don't think anyone really wants to fuck around and find out, because unless it's like a directly focused ECM, then you got all kinds of other satellites going on there, and what does that do?
When I was going through college and just a few things, and I think space is interesting. I've met a couple astronauts, and they just talk about the amount of shit we fired up into space at that orbit over the past 50, 60 years.
Floating around.
Just floating around. And they say, like, no, you're out there, and there's like small little fragments. And luckily, everything's moving roughly about the same speed.
Yeah.
But like, you're getting pelted with shit up there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what was that? Was
Right.
it George Clooney that he was in that movie where they Gravity, when they smacked a whole bunch of satellites into one another? And it's got to be a domino effect. Somebody has to have said, like, hey, if we start shooting one down, then it's going to unintentionally take down
Something.
a whole bunch more. But
Yeah.
then who's going to get up there and clean out all that trash? So is it going to be like the environment? Are we going to ruin space for everybody?
It's gonna be like the big garbage float in Pacific right now.
Correct. Yeah.
It just kind of culminates, or it's just there, and that's
And hopefully gravity brings it back in.
Right.
Maybe.
There's recovery teams that does come back down, some of it.
Yeah.
But, there's some of it, they're just like, all right, let's just blow it up so it comes back down. Ooh, it's blown up, but it's not coming back down, right? Like old technology, old satellites, like, okay, we're just going to, or they just turn them off, right? It's out of orbit. It can't do anything. Yeah. And then eventually, so many years later, it'll burn in,
Yeah.
but yeah, that was pretty much the extent of my brief there. But, it was the security getting out there was pretty ridiculous. Like
As it should be.
ridiculously cool. Like it was like, okay, this is what it should be like to get to a place like this. You know, we had to hand in our cell phones, all that stuff. We got on a Bluebird bus, met a police escort, went to God who knows where, and then handed off to another installation escort going to there.
Confusing upon confusing.
Yeah,
confusing.
yeah. You're not going to get back there easy. Yeah, and a lot of some of those compounds are. It's like, okay, and you know what in my travels with John is it did reinstill a lot of confidence that I was probably lacking as far as what are the current state of our military. And despite of all the, generationally things are going to change all the time, right? And there's risk aversion going on, and what are the doctrine that they're pushing out there, and that's what that is. But being there with the troops, Air Force, Army, of all ranks, it's these NCOs that are rising to the occasion that they want to be there, and they're doing shit that is like impressive. It's dynamic. It's fantastic. Whether that be air refuelers, whether that be the TAC Ps, whether that be the security forces, whether that be infantry, whether that be support personnel. I mean, a lot of the times that we were on stage, the questions came from the audience. It was a huge support. I think I was in Las Vegas, I believe. Anyway, one of the younger enlisted got up and said, how do we know that what we're doing and our role here is really as effective and, on the battlefield? Like, we don't get to see a lot of this stuff. We're just here turning a wrench or this, that, and the other. And, of course we shared like all of it is important and the reasons why, but they're there doing it the best of their ability, and they're motivated about it too. And it's like, wow, this isn't the military that, you hear about from people. It's like, it's not like it used to be, right? It's always going to be that way. But the heart and the spirit of these young men and women it's on fire, now how they're employed, and the use of, these skill sets, that's a whole other thing. But what's good is they want to be there, and they're still putting it to them, man. I mean, there's a lot of impressive stuff that's going on. Now the thing is like, how do we get them to transition correctly and reintegrate properly? And that part, that will forever probably be a shit show, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But,
oh my goodness, Ron. I'm out. Hold on. I'll grab you another one.
I know he's got it.
Anything worth having one of?
Yeah.
It was worth having two of.
Hell yeah.
Except for wives.
Yeah,
Yeah, man. Yeah. So can we get on to my favorite part of the week? What's your conspiracy theory of the week? The favorite one that you've heard? What's going on? There's the Alec Baldwin and the Red October.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of different ones that are out there right now.
Gosh, man. So recent conspiracy theories. Because I was thinking about that as like, because conspiracy theories, like what used to be conspiracy theories are like no longer conspiracy theories for me because they're proven or something, Yeah, the Alec Baldwin thing, that's an interesting one. I've heard the rumor in the rumor mill that there's like it might be murder or like attempted this or that. What were Live Rounds doing there?
Yeah, because
on a set, like
a lot of people have asked me how that works, and it's like, well, usually there's two people at a minimum checking the weapons and checking all the ammo. Mm-hmm. Everything comes into a safe area. Yeah. And like everything's fenced off after that.
Right.
Weapon goes out of the safe area after everything's been checked by a minimum of two people.
Yeah.
It gets used, and then it goes back into the safe area, so there's no contamination between live and simulation rounds.
Right. And the other, and I've seen it gun shows and stuff, right? If depending on what it is that you're going to be putting out there on the table, it's checked, it's flagged, it's got the the stopper in there. You could see the color of what it is, and it's gone through, signed off, or whatever, and. But I think what's lacking there is they're putting it too much on a third party, right? To say, yeah, this is good, which it's fine. Hey, here's a hot gun, cold gun, or something like that. But if you're the person handling that weapon, it's incumbent upon you to make sure that is correct as well. I mean, what's the first thing that we learn? What's the main thing that we learned from Captain Joe? Safety's free.
Yeah. Sprinkle that shit everywhere.
Safety's free. Will Smith, when he was looking, if you remember that, when he was looking at stuff for Men in Black or for Bad Boys, and the guy was like, "Oh yeah, and this one here," and he just grabs it and he's like, goes to turn it and it's like toward Will. Mm-hmm. Will smacked it away, snatched it, cleared it, did it. Yeah, all right, man. Like, don't do that shit around me. Yeah. Which leads me to that, you know, when they're getting their gear, their shit together, you know, you can't tell me that Keanu, Will, you know, these guys are just like, okay, cool. No, man, they want to know that okay, is this safe? Because what's going on is in these scenes, it's not, regardless of what's going on in the scenes, you have a weapon.
Yeah, so from what I understand, it's a Western, so it's going to be a revolver. So revolvers are actually harder to check.
Yes.
So, I mean, it's one of those things where
I mean, harder to check what? Popping the wheel out to see what's in there?
Yeah. I mean, essentially, you got to pop the wheel out, and you're going to have to kind of point the muzzle toward your face. But if the wheel's out, you know the gun's not going to go off, and you have to, like, check it and then put it back in.
What? I would not do that.
Are you talking about to verify that the rounds are blank?
So, I mean, because the way a revolver works is, like, pop the wheel out, you got to shove each individual round in, which they should be doing on their own. They're 6. Doesn't take that long.
Right.
Give them a speed loader. Have them loaded in, but you can look at the end of the speed loader, but you shouldn't be handing somebody a loaded weapon.
Correct.
Where they're going to have to like pop the wheel out, pull each individual round out, or like face the wheel with a muzzle kind of like looking at the side angle to make sure there's no projectiles.
Correct. Yeah. It is a little harder, but I mean, at the same time,
you know, dying is hard too.
Dying is hard too. And what they were testing on was it wasn't even anything. It wasn't like should have even had a round in there. He was just kind of rehearsing, right? I mean, I don't know. I wasn't there, obviously,
expecting
but
to be like dry fire.
You'd expect it could be a dry fire scenario, or what have you. I don't know. I mean, it takes what? Okay, a little extra time or whatever. You know, I'm sure they're going to put some policies in place or something like that for those things, whatever they do. But
the conspiracy theory behind it was, you know, he played in the Hunt for Red October, hunting down spies in a certain area of Russia. She's from that certain area of Russia, in which her dad was alleged to be a spy.
Oh, this is a good one.
Yeah, have you not heard this?
No.
I mean, there's a whole bunch around it. You can find it on the internet, but the whole theory, like just a bunch of it, is he played, you know, a guy hunting down Russian spies in October. She got killed in October. She's from the area of the captain that he was chasing in the movie. It's this whole play. You can find it all over the internet.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a crazy one. I think now that I think about another one, I think that there's something behind this Astro World thing that happened in
the concert.
Yeah, so I haven't been following the news on this.
So the Travis Scott concert, Astro World, like big music venue, and there was a crowd surge, right? And he was up, you know, doing his thing and hyping up the crowd and everything, and he didn't, you know, so he claims he didn't realize what was going on. He saw everyone's going to get him crazy and stuff like that, but he's just like, let's go. What's it where to do? And, you know, because some people were like, hey, stop the music. He's like, and then anyway, what ended up happening is I think 8 to 10 people are dead now. Hundreds wounded from trampling and pushing and stuff like that. But the other thing is that there's security officers that were injected with fentanyl or some substance in the neck. And they're saying is that they're doing it to find out with the autopsy, but that could have also, you know, pushed like the panic to push and get everything out. So they did and this was the sheriff was talking about this, that they found a prick inside of the neck of the security officer. They had to give him, what is that?
Narcan?
Narcan. They Narcaned him. Yeah, they had to Narcan him. And so what's that about, right? And how many did that happen to? So that's what they're saying. It's the feds, the FBI is involved now, right. You know, so it's a federal investigation. But, you know, it's kind of like, you know, who was on the grassy knoll?
Yeah, it's crazy.
You know, and then I think after that is like, okay, what what's behind that? What's going to, is that more restrictions for concerts? Is it, something for another war on drugs? What was it? Is there somebody on the loose for this or that? Like
What would be the motivation for doing that?
I don't know, right? That's the question. I guess we'll see how it unfolds maybe and see. But who knows? But it's weird. It's like, well, what the hell? What do you mean someone was stabbed a security guard was stabbed in the neck with some fentanyl? And why the security guard? So, I don't know, man.
My big one right now is I'm in a master's program for film and production, and they're sticking me in a graduate writing program. And when I first saw it on my curriculum, I'm like, oh my God.
I'd be pretty excited about that. No, you don't like to write?
No, I do like to write. I have a book.
Right.
I write all the time. I don't need to go sit in a class and have somebody tell me how to write.
Gotcha.
Because if you ever find me writing a research paper, I have made several wrong steps in life. I mean, I love the people who do it. It's needed.
You're in college, bro.
Yeah, I don't.
Wait till you do math.
I'm good at that. I came to learn technical skills, not learn how to write. I'm fine. I can communicate a message very clearly. I'm okay with this. So we had to write a research paper, and some guys are writing. It's in a film school, and so being a 42-year-old dude with all my experience in film school in Seattle with a whole bunch of young 20-year-old kids, there's obviously a dynamic, and some people are studying Chinese cinema, and other guys studying how The Matrix is an allegory to the transgender experience, and I'm like, I can't write on film. I'm not that into film. I'm taking this to learn how to make better commercials and stuff for my company. And so I started writing on the whole theory of, China was involved in Afghanistan for the lithium rights, right? And that's kind of the player behind the scenes, because we were following Afghanistan, doing our stuff. Lots of reports of Chinese. Sure. Military and civilian and other groups working during the whole downfall of Afghanistan. Right. And why were they doing that? And so it's like, okay, it's got to be for the lithium, because that's the common conspiracy theory that's out there, is they're doing it to go after lithium. That's what powers your iPhones. Mm-hmm. Complete and total fucking bullshit.
Right. It is. So China is your conspiracy theory that China's involvement in what they're doing in these countries?
Was to go after lithium. Okay. Because that's the party line that's being towed by a lot of people behind the scenes.
Why do you think they're there?
So I started researching, and I started just getting angrier and angrier and angrier, because you have to back it up to 2013, where Xi Jinping announced the Belt and Road Initiative, which started in 2013, which ends in 2049. And when Mao started what they called the 100-year marathon in 1949, this is going to be the completion of that. Yes. Well, the Belt and Road Initiative involves 70 countries. It goes all the way from, East Asia all the way through to Europe, and then down into Africa.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
And it's massive infrastructure development to bring raw materials into the Chinese manufacturing base and then to export finished goods. So it's the new Silk Road.
Yes. And they attempted to do that in Latin America before they saw strong resistance in those countries.
Right. And so so I started looking at what's going on, and then I started to seeing the debt trap, because that was the theory, my hypothesis was that China was going to invest in Afghanistan. You're supporting the Taliban. They're going to give them huge loans to develop the infrastructure in order to export the lithium into China, because Afghanistan and China actually touch. It's easier to get through. And then what they're going to do is when China does these infrastructure development things, they grant or loan a country money, then 90% of the work comes back to Chinese companies. Right. And then those companies can drive the outcome of the project and all the timelines. And so they typically drive into default, in which the project becomes not profitable or behind schedule. So the nation has to restructure their debt or give up whatever they collateralized for the debt for that infrastructure development.
Correct.
So the biggest case for that, and what everybody points to, is Sri Lanka. Mm-hmm. So 20, I'm screwing up the years here, but it was essentially early 2000s. Sri Lanka wanted to fund a deep water port, to capitalize on the commerce in the Indian Ocean. So they worked with the Chinese, got a $1 billion+ loan. Chinese companies came and worked on it. Immediately after going into production, they fell behind, went into debt. They couldn't support the loan payments for the development of it. And meanwhile, they've had some political turmoil, right? Which all the countries that they're working in that have screwed up. And then Sri Lanka was just like, dude, we can't pay this. We got new leadership. We didn't agree to this stuff. Here, you guys have the port. So now China got a huge deep water port off the coast of India, which is one of their largest adversaries.
Yeah.
And then that led into Djibouti, which is right on the Suez Canal if people want to consult a map. It's a tiny little African country around the Horn of Africa, but China owns 90% of Djibouti's debt. And in the process of doing that, developing their infrastructure and building all of this, that is China's only overseas military installation. We saw what happened when the Suez Canal got blocked. We saw how that affected world logistics. Now China's got a major naval installation right on that canal.
It's the Panama Canal of that.
Which then led me further down the hole of looking at all of the other African nations. 27% of African nations right now in 2021 are restructuring debt deals with China. And the major reason why, and you're reading all these articles about it, and it's tough to find official statements from China because China's really tight-lipped. But when you start reading around on all the different reports, the reason why these projects fell behind and why they can't pay on their debt is because of coronavirus. So here you have a bioweapon that got released into these communities that are driving an outcome that's ultimately going to be financially beneficial to China. So now here you're going to have China's going to have 27% of African nations under their thumb, which hold a vast amount of natural resources for the planet.
Yeah.
And you'll read these articles, oh, they forgave X amount of debt. Yeah, they're forgiving the interest on this debt for $50 million, $30 million. People aren't reporting on the billions of dollars that those nations owe China.
Are you surprised?
I am impressed by the depth of it, to be honest.
So,
but then it eventually led me back to Afghanistan. Like, what the fuck happened over the past couple years? So then I started digging back. Well, in March of 2021, China and Iran signed a $400 billion oil deal. The straight line between Iran and China is through Afghanistan. Back up to 2020, Ghani denied Chinese loans for infrastructure development. That same month, China started meeting with the Taliban. Fast forward into 2021, a little bit further in, guess which country was majorly responsible in everybody's sights as supporting the Taliban and taking over Afghanistan? What country?
China and Russia.
Pakistan.
Pakistan's driving the Taliban right now.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Like those the videos of the UH-60 flying over Pakistani pilots, everything else. Guess which country restructured their debt deal with China for the 7th time this year? Pakistan, the crown jewel of the Belt and Road Initiative. Afghanistan is like the linchpin of everything driving through it all.
Right.
And my mind is just absolutely blown is the depth and the complexity of what is going on and the fact that they don't need Afghanistan for the lithium. They just need it for the road.
Right. Correct. So, when I first heard about this was with Travel with John, because that's one of the things that's we talk about to the active force is, what bad actors in the world we have to face. Obviously, it's China, Russia, North Korea, all that kind of stuff, and the Belt Road Initiative is all part of that. And as you explain that, you know what playbook they are using, right?
Unrestricted warfare.
But what country are they following that did exactly what you just described?
We did.
That's how we are in so many nations and have so many partner nations. There's a book called The Economic Hitman.
Yep.
And that book details an economist that worked for the CIA under the premise of U.S. aid. And we did the same thing for basically North and South America through there. Like we'd lend these countries so much money, or really all the world, hydroelectric dams. There's the whole thing with the Shell oil suns from the these different tribes and all that stuff. And it's like it's real. So they were overlending. A small, top 1% of that country gets paid out. Everything else goes to shit. Oh, you can't pay it back. Okay, that's okay. But we're going to put an airstrip here.
Yeah.
We're going to put a base here. So for us, it was a military play. And China's whole thing has always been economic. They don't really want to go to war. They want to control shit. And that's how, like when Trump put that big, was it $25 billion, whatever, tariff on them for steel and all this other stuff, it actually slowed their progress militarily, because now they don't have, not that they don't have it, but it hampers it. And when you look at the spending budget of military budgets across all over the globe, we lead the way on that, right? There's a reason why they don't want
exponentially, yeah.
And there's a reason why they don't want to fuck with us, because they know what that is. Now the will of all that stuff is different, but all these things that are happening, I'm just like, yeah, that's exactly what the U.S. did. And now it certainly caught the eye. I don't know if you know that there's a $450 billion bill that was passed specifically to combat Chinese threats and advancement globally. So what that looks like, who knows? And when you look at this stuff, it's like you see all this money, but then at the same time, like where all this money's supposed to go, a lot of it's just still there. It's like, well, where the hell does all this stuff go? What's going on? But yeah, China, and John, his last trip to Africa before he retired, he said there was more Chinese on that plane than were Africans.
No, I remember seeing that when I was traveling through Africa.
A lot of Chinese going back, and it's going. There's even back, I think 15, 20 years ago here, and there was some bill that passed that China can do something to protect its interests or something like that. Well, shit, they're owning all these buildings, and it's an economic play for them for sure.
Yeah, there's like I didn't really understand it until I saw Afghanistan go down. I really hadn't paid too much attention to China, because I've been in a couple briefs where they talk about it and people downplay Chinese military might. But then when I started to see the light of day, what was going on in Afghanistan and China, and I called a friend of mine in the security world, private security world. He's like, yeah, you need to read this book called Unrestricted Warfare. And it was written by two Chinese colonels in 99. And I keep going on, and I'll keep mentioning it because I want everybody to read it.
Unrestricted Warfare.
Unrestricted Warfare. And it is crazy accurate. My girlfriend, super hippie, not in touch with the military at all. I read her the first 20 pages, and she just stood there, eyes wide, jaw open, and she's like, holy shit, when was this book written? It was like 1999. Her response was, oh my God, we've been fighting the wrong country for 2 decades. Yeah. And it's crazy the amount of times that book was written in 1999 that they mentioned bin Laden. And their theory on it was, after the Gulf War won, people won't fight a huge war against America. So they started to see which type of fighter could. And America, as much as our technology has evolved, and I'll keep repeating this over and over again, you can have a 2,000-pound laser-guided munition, but what that is an old 1960s technology 2,000-pound bomb with a new laser package on it with some fins that just kind of drive the direction of it.
Yeah.
And our military might, it still is very archaic in the fact that it's a small metal fragment going through flesh to press foreign policy. Mm-hmm. These two Chinese colonels called us helpless. They called America helpless because we were helpless in our mindset to get beyond that in warfare, in which they identified economic, political, educational, environmental are all forms of warfare now.
Yeah.
And they've been playing that book for 2 decades while we've been, fighting. And the craziest part of the book, actually the second craziest part of the book, was they identified the fact that a super highly advanced military force cannot go against an archaic military force. They'll never actually beat each other, but the one who spends the most money will bankrupt themselves into failure.
Right.
And the Afghans proved it with the Soviet Union.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people don't get it. The reason why the Soviet Union fell apart was because of Afghanistan. They bankrupted themselves trying to fight these dudes who run around with AKs and Stinger missiles.
Yeah.
But yet we think we're better than that 2 decades later. And they proved the point. They wrote it in 1999. And I'm reading this book now in 2021 going, oh my God, this is just what happened. And then I followed that book up with one by former retired Brigadier General Robert Spalding, who was the defense attaché to China. Then he worked in the Pentagon as their strategy officer for China. And then he went to the White House on China strategy. And he beat the China jump so hard they bounced him out of the White House. And then he wrote this book called Stealth War. And I recommend everybody listen to it. Read Unrestricted Warfare first. It's about 180 pages. Might be some thick reading. It's not really. But when you read that book first and then you read Spalding's book, he talks about how the technology theft, intellectual property theft, the integration into our financial markets, the integration into our political spectrum. Was it Mitch McConnell's wife?
Mm-hmm. What?
Mitch McConnell, Republican, big R. Like his wife is directly tied to the top rungs of the PRC, or the People's Republic of China. And he lays it out. And this is a former one-star who was the defense attaché in the Pentagon and at the White House, starts tying out all of these connections. And his line was, and I hope everybody listens to this, is that he wrote this book in 1919, early 2020. He's like, we've got about 3 years to write this script, write the situation. Yeah. And it's going to involve the Pentagon, the White House, Congress, all of our financial leaders, and all of our technological leaders being on the same page in order to combat this.
Mm-hmm.
Ain't gonna happen.
Right.
And you got to wonder where all this divisiveness is coming from and why,
mm-hmm.
when they're waging unrestricted warfare. And will the American people listen? Will they get behind it? Will they prepare themselves, and will they act accordingly? Yeah.
I think it's going to be an interesting next year and a half. And whatever happens after this administration is going to really be, it's going to be a definitive direction from that point of what's going to be happening for I think the next, decade in the United States. I mean, because at that point we're looking about a year and a half, 2 years from now, they're already looking at how weak we are perceived to the world, what they're doing, like, obviously with Afghanistan, now Taiwan, China's messing with Taiwan. You got Russia, Ukraine, you got, Rocket Man doing whatever the hell he wants to do, right? And Iran, all that stuff. So, but and our policy right now isn't, you can't confidently say, oh yeah, we're focused on that as a problem, whereas in other administrations previously, like China sends a hypersonic something, it's like, okay, well, we need to get on that and let them know, right? So what do? We just show that they're a carrier in the middle of the desert of ours, that they're target practicing with. All right. Well,
when I saw that image, I was like, ooh, that's on rails.
Yeah.
So they've probably got that big carrier lookalike doing about 40 knots across the desert.
Right.
Practicing.
Here's my thought on that. Knowing, just from a commerce perspective and keeping things secret and stuff like that, China knows what we can see and what we can't see. Right? Like, to me, that's not a surprise. It wasn't like, oh,
counterintelligence.
Gosh. It's like, hey, here's what we're doing. Like, it's in the middle of the desert. Of course we see that. And the other part is that, of course, we've seen it built, but we just want to release that now, right? I mean, they showed it fully constructed, and this is what they're doing. Da da da. All right. So right. So I mean, what is that? Is it China just saying, "Hey, we're just playing some games," over here? Is it, what is that? What does that do to the American psyche, right? The warfighter, all that stuff, and what are we doing about it, right? I mean, it's because a lot of this stuff is psyops too, right? I mean, it's when we're talking about unrestricted warfare, it's all those things, right? I remember even when I before being with VLG when I was in the private sector, and when I had my patent writing and stuff, like that stuff was like Chinese email all the time. Infiltrating in technologies, trying to steal IT, all that stuff, right? Buy this, let's buy that. And then if you recall also, we all got an email that anybody that had a security clearance from this dates to these dates, which is like over 20 some years, was compromised by the Chinese. Meaning that they knew who we are. So if we ever go
They
into
know
China,
who we are. They know who our family is. They know
Yeah,
every
they know
home of
everything
record.
about
They
us.
know.
Yeah. So if I go to China, I can go to China. It's just that they'll know everything about me when I go because we're part of that database. And it was just an email that was just sitting there for years, just like a little bug hanging out. Oh, General what? Oh, okay, gotcha. Wild, It's if you let it get to you though, it's just gonna be what it's gonna be. I've learned. I've always been paranoid with it anyway. Even like here, my habit is I always sit on my phone, like even with sensitive just a habit, right? Because in 1995, when I first got to Second Ranger Battalion, we'd be briefed on all the world threats and everything. Well, for us in the combo section was especially because it's communications is important. At the time, now it's I'm past all my NDAs and all that shit now, but at the time in Cuba, there was a dried lake bed, and that basically was underneath that is an entire fucking base, right? And basically, what you seen is a Cable Guy where he's laying in that big ass satellite thing, right? It's like that, right? So we were told then, pre-cell, like right when cell phones were just coming out, is anything that you talk on in the United States, just assume it's being recorded, documented, and stored, because this is where it's at. I mean, so if after receiving that brief, just like I would look at John's face to see, hey, how did it go? Yeah, I was like white, like your complexion, right? Like walking out of there, like holy shit. And they're like, yeah, the only way it's secure is with the Stu 3. Now technology is advanced and changed, but now we see our own government doing that with every device that we're looking into. Right?
Your TVs, your microwaves, your phones,
Yeah, I
everything.
mean, if it's got a camera or a microphone on it, you might as well assume that can be remote accessed.
100%. And I mean, we've got some friends, and I'd say is that that's all those are very accurate. There's no if they want to know about you, it's too easy. Like it's eerily too easy. Literally anything that you're putting in, unless it's like signal or this, it's maybe some stuff disappears. It'll disappear on the physical device sometimes. Maybe if you set it up that way, but
that 1 and 0 exists somewhere.
It exists somewhere, man. And anything that's put out, it's captured. Anything. So,
I mean, aside from the marketing side of it, or you can look at the Cambridge Analytical stuff and in the bigger picture shit. When I talk to folks from Montana and whatnot, where I'm from, they're like, they're monitoring me. It's like, get over yourself.
Yeah.
Like, really?
Yeah.
Like,
right.
If somebody at the NSA is listening to me right now, you're a fucking idiot.
Yeah, right.
Go do something important, please. Like,
right.
They're going to get a lot of dick jokes.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And we know all that. And if somebody's really going to be doing bad shit, then just do it naked.
Yeah. Yeah. And here's the thing.
Then you're untrackable,
people are still
right?
doing bad shit. People haven't stopped doing bad shit. Yeah. The bad shit they're doing is even worse now. So it's like, and the other part is of that big brother fear and all that stuff. When you think about the resources that it takes to actually execute on some of these fears, right? Martial law, it's this total police. I mean, it's not Australia, you know what I'm saying? And I think that what's happened in the last few years here, especially in the United States, especially in this state, there is no more police state type issues here, right? I mean, they've changed that where they can't apprehend anybody that's on suspicion anymore. It has to be an absolute probable cause, meaning if it was a red truck driving 55 miles, blasting through a stop sign, and they just got a call for robbery, they're not going to chase you down, right? That kind of stuff. So. And once that stuff is in motion and you have good, the good cops that are, like our friends that have recently left the force and stuff like that, what are you left with? And it's in what started it, in my opinion, like when you look at the war on the gangs and drugs, let's talk about Washington State, Hilltop Tacoma, right? Back when I was in there, it was like, you don't go to Hilltop. Right?
I never went to Hilltop when I lived in Tacoma.
Even you don't go to Hilltop. It's just that's where the shootouts and all that shit happen, right? Well, to combat that, they had to change their style and methods of policing. That's when they started introducing SWAT and higher caliber weapons and doing raids and all that kind of stuff to get the shit under control. So then, when it finally is under control-ish, right? What hasn't changed is the way that they interact with the public, right? So that now, at the same time with law enforcement, like my good friend, one of the things he would tell me when I got my home in Tacoma, he's like, make sure you're strapped, make sure you're always carrying. And he's telling me this, like, here's exactly what I carry. Here's what, and I'm like, okay, cool. Every time I talk to him, you strapped? Yeah. To the point where I'm like in the house, fall asleep with it, right? And like, okay, I got it. And it's because all of the things that he's seen in his experience through his eyes and his reality is all of the horrible shit, shootouts and stabbings and this and that. Whereas my interaction with the public and being just running around, I'm like, bro, I hate to say it's not like that because I know his line of work, but it's not like that for everybody.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right. And so if someone's doing just something wrong, jaywalk or whatever, and you have someone that's in that mentality, hey, it's like the aggression of that can be like, whoa, man, fuck, I'm just crossing the street. Yeah, I'm a little drunk, but damn. And then shit gets out of control. Right. So, and it's like, at what point do they start? So he was an instructor, right? Training and saying, okay, this is how to be a good cop. But even it got to the point where that wasn't good enough for what they were putting out. So it's like, okay, what point is this even police work? Right? And I don't know what they're treating and doctoring, but what I do know is that there's a far less police presence in Tacoma and Pierce County in that area. I don't even hardly see any police anymore. It's just really weird. So by the time it takes for them to like, okay, we're gonna marshal, it's like, what's the reality of that? And we have friends that are survivalists that are like, no, the shit's going down. It's like, well, where? Where? It's not Australia again. I mean, there's some pockets, of course, that are still that way and still fucked up. But
I still come back to the martial law side of thing is the people that would be enforcing that are going to be enforcing it on, like, not their own families, but this isn't like a foreign nation taking over.
Yeah.
It's still Billy going imprisoning Bob. Like,
yeah.
Maybe I just have too much hope in humanity and people, but I just don't see that working.
Yeah.
Right.
Or like
there's got to be
war. Like
I could actually see civil war happening from a far higher likelihood than just, man, you'd have to have a lot of leverage on a lot of people, a lot of leverage on a lot of people to get them to execute that.
It was interesting because I was at an event, like a private invite only event, in which people were talking about social problems, and some guy got up and stood there, and an older dude. And you could tell he had some friends, but he was going off a couple layers of hearsay, and he goes, "Oh, the military's got a great plan in case there's massive civil unrest." And I go, "Ooh,
yeah,"
and like, you seen what's been going on lately? And then compound the fact that there's severe distrust, I think, within the military these days of the senior level leadership, which are going to be asking young teenagers and young sergeants and staff sergeants with families and everything else to go out into their own communities and do this. They understand the threat of what's going on.
Yeah.
And I highly doubt that would happen.
Well, even Millie was like, we're not sending the military down to do whatever, right? He's like,
it'd have been a lot easier pre-internet. It'd have been a lot easier pre-internet to pull that off.
Yeah, pre-smartphone.
Yeah, but just at the level of communication and access to information that the enlisted guys, like the literal infantry level guys have access to now, like, you can't control that.
Right.
Like, you just can't. Where in 1972, like, okay, there's 3 channels and a newspaper. Like, you can isolate that guy.
Now you can live stream it.
Yeah.
4K.
Yeah, exactly.
But good luck. Like, everybody knows more than they ever did.
Right.
Which is good or bad, depending on how you look at it. But
Well, we actually learned a lot of good stuff today too. And we are running short on time because we got some
Yeah.
stuff that we got to get into here. But
Yeah.
you got a big week ahead of you, and hopefully I'll see you Friday evening for the sausage party,
I will keep you informed.
my annual sausage party.
Yes.
The uniform is short shorts, the Ranger panties,
Team short shorts.
team
Got
short
it.
shorts, yeah.
And cutting up some beef.
Some beef, yeah.
Right on, man.
So hopefully I'll see you Friday. But dude, thanks for coming up today, man. I know
Thanks
it's
for
a
having me.
haul, and
No, it's all good, man. Thanks for having me.
So where
This is
can
awesome.
people go have
Yeah.
some of that love in Curacao?
Yeah, so a couple ones. One is tourrificvip.com.
So how do you spell terrific?
Yeah, so it's a little play on words, right? So it's TOURRIFIC, Tourrific, right? Yeah. So tourrificvip.com. And learn about the island. We've got different packages. You can reach out, talk to me. What we do essentially is, identify, the dates, how many people. We do set up all the accommodations from transportation, the right villa. We'll interview on the activities that you're interested, scuba diving, jet skiing, just chilling on the beach, all that stuff, and program that up and come out and have a blast and have a good time. Fishing, just caught that trophy. Trophy Dorado.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah, which we gotta talk about. There's actually the guy that was on the boat. He won the Marlin Catch and Release for 2021.
Did he?
So it's like a 50-year running tournament out there. So we'll have to talk about that.
Oh, I'm into it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and they do all that jumping in there and filming and all that
The
stuff.
deepwater release.
Deepwater
It's a
release.
dream. That's on a bucket list for me.
Yeah, but there's that, and then as far as the TBI side of it, it would be defendersoffreedom.us. Just tap on brain treatment on there, and it'll plug you right in, and it'll get you more information. You can sign up there on the list. Just tell her Ron sent you, and they'll know who that is. I'm one of the ambassadors there. And then lastly, which one we didn't get a chance to talk about, but is the PTSDFoundation.org, which we have, I'm on the board of, but we have a grant through Boulder Crest, and we are the Pacific Northwest destination for Warrior Path. And we're able to send 74 combat veterans, 24 first responders per year through the program. We're in our 6th path. We also had our first all-female path as well. And what that does is a 7-day program here in the woods. Get you out there, and it's really training to really look at some of the things that we might look at as negative in veterans, but all things that we can use as strengths, right? Such as our ADD, our always being switched on, how to control, how to train ourselves to use these innate abilities of that we had from our experiences in the military, and use that as pro-choice for every single day. And I'll tell you, the guys that I've seen go through the program and gals are like literally right on par with the happiness and content of me coming out the TBI program. So it's something that it's available, it's free, room, board, and all that stuff. So I encourage you to check it out.
So PTSD is not post-traumatic stress disorder. It's permission to start dreaming.
Permission to start dreaming, correct. That's the Permission to Start Dreaming Foundation. And the story there is it's all in there. It's a fantastic organization. Leslie Main actually told me, she says, I've been following you for 3 years before I invited you to come on to see if you're real, but it's a fantastic program. In fact, she's kind of like my oracle. I went to see her. She was the first person I talked to about this plan of the transition and retirement and all that. And I said, it's kind of ironic that I'm at the Permission to Start Dreaming Foundation requesting permission to start dreaming, And she was like, go get it, buddy. So
On that note, man, Ron, continue to feel free, man. You're doing a great job of it. You're leading the way.
yeah, man. And you guys are too. This is a fantastic, I had a great time here today. This is one of the best shows I've had since the Ron and John era. Man, this is good. And what you guys are doing, it's the more messages need to come out from more in our community, and people need to. This is good information people need to hear. It's really fun. Yeah, it's good times. Thanks for having me. All right.
Feel free.
Yeah.
To feel free.
Yeah. And eat ass.
Happy birthday, my boy. Happy birthday, my devil dog friends.
Yes. Sucios.
Sucios, lead the way.
Lead the way.